in Session Zeros for a little bit, named Lilash. I'm in Pittsburgh. So excited. Let's talk. Next.
Yep, I'm Joe. I'm the person that Kyle thinks is his friend, but I secretly want to kill him. We've in 2 games together. We were in 2 games together, but he doesn't play anymore because he doesn't love us anymore. I'm in Chicago, and happy to be here to talk about items.
And I guess that leaves me. Hello, everybody. I'm William, and I guess I'm one of the devs that just Sean likes keeping around, it seems. So that's what I do pretty much, is just sit around all day doing numbers. But yeah, joy to be here, and let's talk. Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe it has been. It is the first time.
Kyle?
Are you seeing all these, Joe? Are you seeing all these?
Yeah, I'm seeing them.
Okay, last one, I promise. I'm all done.
Jesus Christ. How long have you been making these?
Get it? Because he's the couch potato. Did you get it? That was a good one. I tried to.
Oh my God, I hate you so much.
I don't think. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. He just put one because apparently Finley
your
can't
potato
spell.
does have an E on the end, but it's not supposed to. It's just P.
Potato. That's where that comes from.
Apparently Finley doesn't know how to spell.
That's not right.
Pretty sure.
We're changing the whole stream. Let's talk spelling, Kyle.
Let's talk grammar.
For 4 hours. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
As we lose all of our viewers. How to write in Elvish for your players.
Ooh, that would be forever. Good to have you here with us, Joe. Good to see you, bud. Let's do this.
You make me regret it already.
Mission accomplished. Yes.
They're saying they can't hear you, Sean. Just FYI. That's what Clickstreak is telling me.
No.
How long has he been going on for, not being able to be heard?
I just asked. I just asked. I just asked. I don't know. All right. Who wants to go first? Who wants to start starting equipment?
I actually have a couple things set up for starting equipment, and I guess
Beautiful.
my philosophy on it. But yeah,
I'm gonna come through
I
now
guess
on the stream. Hello, hello.
He's saying,
On
Mr.
the
saying
stream.
good.
Hello,
good.
hello.
He's saying,
On
Mr.
the
saying
stream.
good.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess how I categorize starting equipment, I usually when I DM, I usually do starting equipment, but if people don't want to do the basic starting equipment, I usually go a melee weapon, a ranged weapon,
There we go.
an armor type that they are proficient with and they can use, a basic pack that their classes have access to, and any necessity class things. And that's just the basic class stuff. There's also background items, which usually is clothes and things of that sort, and I guess world items that would be necessities in your world campaign. That would be necessities usually come up to world campaign. That would be necessities usually come up to world campaign.
I like the idea of starting items a lot. They're really convenient, especially for new players, because if you had to create a character and also purchase all the items, nobody would ever play D&D. It'd be too intimidating. But just being able to be like, oh, here's a class, you get all these things with it, and it's very convenient, it's very nice. But after you've kind of like settled in for a little bit, it is pretty fun to buy all of your equipment, because you get to get exactly what you want, and you get to customize it, and it's really cool. But Spaz mentioned the background items. I love background items. Spaz mentioned the background items. A lot of them are incredibly pointless. The background items.
Gotta have your shovel and iron pot.
Yeah, urchins gotta have their pet mouse.
Well, I mean, I actually like starting items because it makes it feel like you're actually an adventure. A lot of times, if you don't have the starting items, well, you just started your adventure. You're just getting your stuff. Whereas because of the starting items, it feels like you're not just starting out. You've been doing it. You've taken the time to already acquire all this stuff. So it feels like you're not just starting. You're right there. You've already been doing it. You know what you're doing. You know what you need to have. But with regards to background items, I kind of like them. But then there are some really weird ones. Like, I really don't understand why I'm carrying around a letter from an old colleague. That one has always been. That's the one I always go to. Like, what the hell is the point of this item?
It's for sentimental reasons, you know.
If you're a researcher, you're gonna sentimental.
Yeah, but it's sentimental, and also it could be like your best friend was also like a colleague of yours, or something of that sort. Then it's, I guess, background items are helpful for DMs to tie it into the game. If it's not tied into the game, it makes it pointless. Kind of like the inheritance, or I think it's the sage that gets that letter from the old acquaintance. Yeah. Those are somewhat pointless unless the DM actually implements it as it's supposed to be done.
That's true.
I think I got my mic fixed. Okay.
Yeah, kind of interesting concept. Just to get through the default stuff here real quick. I mean, they definitely try to give you a little bit of leeway, depending on your level of experience, I guess. With if you're an experienced player but you're starting out level 1 stuff, you could just very easily, how much gold do we start with? This amount, and the other thing, great. And so there's Explorer packs, Dungeoneers pack, which has a whole bunch of shit in it already. Like, they do kind of speed it up a little bit for you if y'all just want to take some basic stuff. If you want to get super technical about it, which I've had players do in a game that I DM for, where they're like, I want a pick and a shovel and 10,000 candles. How much are candles? That much? How many can I buy with this amount of gold? I want 10,000 candles.
Jesus, that's a lot of candles.
I mean, now I'm not going to say no to that, but, it just intrigues the shit out of me of when are we going to use this, and I'm kind of excited to see when. So, even with the letter thing, half the fun of this game is making shit up and having fun with it. So you could just as easily session 1 be like, I hate this letter, and tear it up, and no one even knows why you're doing it. Someone could come around and pick it up. You can come around later in the game. Like, I know we're just getting started with this starting items, but there's a lot that could go into it. And plus, we're just talking about level 1 stuff. I mean, we haven't really even, we just started talking about this, obviously, but what happens when you have characters start level 3, level 5, level 6? Like Joe was saying, yeah, you're already adventuring at that point, so you kind of have to have some basic stuff, let alone some other things we're going to tie in later with some, higher level things you should have. But, but since we're just talking with starting equipment and some of the miscellaneous things, I don't know. I kind of like that miscellaneous stuff. It's what builds your character different than this one. Like, why are these 2 rogues different? Well, this one has this, and this rogue has 10,000 candles. Why does this dude have 10,000 candles? I don't know, mystery. So anyway, just
because he likes to travel light.
How is he carrying all those candles?
No. The puns are
10,000
coming back.
candles? Jesus Christ.
How
Puns are
soon
coming
was
back.
that? Was that 10 minutes in? Nice, Kayla. Well done.
First
Well
pun.
done.
Yeah.
10
Darn
minutes in.
puns.
One and done. Yeah, I mean, again, just,
I thought that was funny.
you know, I don't question it. He was just like, I just want a lot of candles. I think my character would like that. I was like, great. I don't know where you're putting them. He's like, well, I started him at level 3. He bought a bag of holding to put them all in, so he hasn't used them yet, but I'm sure fucking excited to see what he's gonna.
A bag of holding of candles.
Oh, that would have been really cool if you were a transmutation wizard.
Yeah, some weird starting stuff can come in handy. Like with Kurtz, when he had that 50-pound chest or whatever, we were like, when the fuck are you ever gonna use that? And then you guys end up killing a bear and then threw all the bear meat in there. I was like, well, it's a good thing he had the chest. But where'd he put the thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Definitely. But anyway, just to close my little section out on starting equipment, they definitely give you a lot of variety, which I think is kind of cool. It's not so one-dimensional in terms of everyone starts with an explorer's pack, and then you can go buy shit. Like, no, if you want to be that guy who has 10,000 something, he who will not be named item, you can, which is kind of cool. So you can start off with whatever you want, which is kind of fun, in my opinion. It's pretty great.
If it's put scented candles plus bag of holding equals bag of scents.
A bag of sense.
How do you guys feel about building rollable tables? I love personally having some pre-made tables that they get a roll and pick, you know, like that's what decides it, because that's part of what makes this game fun is the fate of the dice roll.
Yeah.
I really like doing that stuff. How do you guys feel about that for starting equipment?
For basic starting equipment, I would implement that when it comes to, say, if they're level 3, they get maybe an uncommon item or a common item, and I always love rolling things like that. But when it comes to more of the basic necessities, I kind of want them to have control of that, because they're going to be stuck with it like until whenever they use it or whenever it gets destroyed or stolen or whatever happens to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wants to steal 1,000 candles for some reason. I feel bad for that guy.
Look at all this wonderful loot I got. Turns it inside out. What the fuck am I doing with 1,000 candles?
Do you guys personally categorize your starting gold as part of your starting equipment, or do you think that's a separate thing?
We do it as part of the actual equipment. It's you have that gold on top of the equipment.
Oh, so you don't do it, you buy your starting equipment with gold, because I've seen both.
No, where you have that, you start with the starting equipment and you start with the starting gold. That's the way we've been doing it. So you have both of them.
So you actually have some coins to use, so you're not...
Well, I mean, because the way that the DM likes to do it is you can also then use that starting gold to start with more stuff if there's stuff you wanted to buy that doesn't come with the starting equipment.
Oh, like a wizard with the 50 gold diamond or the 100 gold pearl.
Yeah, or anything else you would need that doesn't come as the starting equipment. You can just, well, I started with 500 gold. Can I use this 500 gold to buy this stuff and just subtract that? And I mean, that usually works out pretty good, because then it comes for the way where you're now customizing your starting equipment while not necessarily not taking it. So it kind of does allow some more customization on top of the whole, how static starting equipment usually is from the either A or B. Well, now you just added a C option thanks to using that starting gold.
How do you guys feel about the differences between bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing? I know the tables that are in the book, there's not every dice possibility of every damage type. When the ones that are, the amounts vary drastically for something that does the same amount of damage, just a different type. Myself personally, I don't care what type. Yeah, I kind of just, I like them to make up their weapon. Like with Kurtz, he's got a humongous sword. Like you, for your character, pick what type of weapon you have, and then we'll just match the damage type to that weapon. That's personally how I like to do it. Just let the the players get to pick the type. But how do you guys feel about that?
I do like that way a lot. I'd never seen it done that way until HotA, but I think that's a really good way to do it, because like you said, the weapons are kind of limited, and if somebody just really wants a big sword, it should do the same amount of damage as a really big hammer. So, you know, I think it makes a lot of sense. I can see how some people wouldn't like it, but personally, I think it's a good way to approach somebody who wants a very specific weapon that's not really an option.
I wouldn't let somebody who came in with the big sword be like, I want to do piercing damage. Like, no, that's going to be slashing. You know what I mean? But to me, I don't care what type it is. You can either, I want to do bludgeoning, so then you would pick a bludgeoning weapon on the sheet. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to match, but I don't care what you pick.
Well, the thing is I could think with the example of a big sword, you could potentially deal bludgeoning weapon with it. Yeah. If you're hitting someone with the flat of that sword, with the size of that sword, you're bludgeoning someone at that point. So it would make sense that you could do bludgeoning damage if you're using a great sword.
I would say that, okay, because there's certain enemies that different damage types are more effective against. So say there's some skeleton minion or whatever, and you would rather do bludgeoning damage. Well, first of all, your character would have to know to do a different damage type. You can't meta that. But if you can justify that in a game sense, I think how I would personally handle it, just thinking on the top of my head, if they were like, I'm going to swing it, but I'm going to turn it and use the broadside of it to do bludgeoning, I think I would grant it, but I would just take away the proficiency bonus for the attack roll. Because you're not proficient. Yeah, you're not using it how you're proficient, but you're still going to be swinging just as hard. So that just off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, you could also take into account that because you're not proficient swinging it that way, you could also argue that maybe because you're swinging it awkwardly, well, not disadvantage, maybe you don't add your strength to the hit now because you can't put your full strength because you just made that sword. It's not aerodynamic anymore. When you're swinging it flat like that, you took all the aerodynamics out of that swing now. So you could potentially say, well, because of the way you swung it, you can't put your full strength behind it. So you don't add your strength modifier to the damage now.
Kyle, was it you and I that had a discussion talking about a custom Warforged setup that had like all 3 different damage types like built? Do you remember that? I don't remember. I remember us talking about it. I don't remember, but like where it could choose which appendage to use to do either bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, just for the versatility. I think that
one of our late nights.
Yeah,
we should really stream one of them one time. Late night.
And
this is till 4 in the morning. That would be
like
awesome.
you
That's where 10,000 candles really come in handy.
Some mood lighting.
Awesome. We're talking something about that. I mean, the other thing, since we're just going to dive into this just for a quick second, but think about just to switch the weapon real quick. Let's say I had a baseball bat, right? Well, baseball bat's for swinging. So if I'm swinging, it does it's a bludgeoning damage. Now, what if I tried to, pierce you with it? It's a totally different thing. Just switch the weapon in your mind for a minute. I don't know if I would necessarily be using, I think either one of those things. I think taking away proficiency or the strength mod is certainly a good way to do it because this is everything, right? This is everything you got. And this is doing some weird shit that I don't know why I'm doing this way.
And when it goes
I know it's kind of a silly example, but it would take something away. That's not how you're supposed to use it.
How I pictured the description of piercing is like someone's wearing chainmail, so like a fencing blade or a really thin rapier that can go through the little loops. So that's piercing. Or like an arrow, that's going for like a crack in the armor. Something like that. That is what I consider piercing. Like, I don't even know if I would consider taking a broadsword and stabbing it into somebody. I still think I would count that as slashing. You're that's not... Yeah,
I would make the argument just because I did once have a character, which it was a blood hunter of mine, which he didn't really... Most of his fighting style was actually using the same weapon, but just changing how he used it, and he had a lot of knowledge of the enemies that he was fighting. So for skeletons, he would usually get the blade, gets its sheath, and kind of wrap it around the sheath around the sword, and kind of use it like that.
Okay.
Kind of just a giant whacking stick. And then when it comes to piercing, just like in medieval times, hold the blade with one hand in the handle, and then stab. But,
half-handing the sword.
Yeah. But that's just my knowledge of how it's supposed to work when it coming into using those type of weapons. But if a DM allows it, then it could work. But it also matters on the
Mhm.
person that's running the show.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong way. It's just preference, really, as long as the DM is consistent. Really, it doesn't really matter how you do it.
Well, and I mean, in looking at it, something I never understood is long swords are slashing. Why would you consider a short sword a piercing when technically a short sword could also be slashing though?
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's the point of use. I guess you're going to be more jabbing with it since it's shorter, but that still doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you take into account a halfling using it. That's still technically a longsword for a halfling.
A pixie's longsword is a tooth.
Everything's bigger than a
Oh
half.
no, that's a rapier for a pixie.
You know, one thing just to throw out there, since we're talking about weapons / starting equipment, when you are maybe making your character or helping someone make their character, you know, twofold here with starting weapon and starting equipment. Does it necessarily always have to fit the build in terms of like a barbarian has to use a great sword? Like, do you kind of help them think or yourself think down the road, like my guy's going to be dual wielding? Or because I'm just using an example. So far, I have 2 barbarians in my life, and both times that I've made these characters, they're the reach weapons. There's a glaive and a fucking what is it, a great sword, long sword, whichever. I think it's a great sword. It's a 2-handed. Like, so just by default, but I've never even thought of like maybe they'd be great with 2 just regular swords, a dual. Like, so my question is, like, do you think kind of long term with it? Because that actually leads into something we're going to talk about a little bit later with magic weapons and stuff. But and I wrote that down to bridge this gap. But do you think long term with it, or you just kind of live it in the moment? Like right now, this guy's going to do a glaive, and we're going to go nuts with it.
I think that a lot of it should be based on what the player wants to do. I don't like the idea of DMs telling players how to play. Because you get to control the whole world. The players only get to play themselves. You know, like if someone's new and you're explaining it, that's different. You know, you can tell them how the way things usually are or your preferred way. But if someone's experienced and they want to do something specific and it doesn't break any of your rules, then I think you should let them. Like I had a barbarian, one of my games, who he purposefully wanted to focus all of his proficiencies in javelin, like throwing spears and javelins, and he always wanted to do like range stuff as long as possible before getting into combat where he'd pull out the swords. You know what I mean? So, but using the swords, he was okay with not having the proficiencies if he could have it with throwing the spears, and then he would have to keep track of the inventory and then go retrieve them, and if they broke, he'd have to get a new one, but he'd carry them all on him. But I thought that was a really cool way of changing it up to where, like, a barbarian is normally a melee-focused character, but he wanted to have a little bit of edge before that gap was closed, even though he's not going to have the proficiencies once he's up where he's supposed to be. So I thought that was a really cool way, so we granted it, and it worked pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is a sidebar note to that too.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Clicks. Kind of a 2-part question. We'll do one at a time. Real quick with like making weapons, talking about like Kurtz's or whatever. Hopefully I said that right.
Nailed it.
How has anyone? Thank you. Has anyone ever taken, like, is there an extreme that someone just will not take something? Like if they're like, I want to make a big toothpick, but it's gonna be, I want it to have great sword stuff. Like, that's a really bad example, but has anyone ever taken it too far? Be like, no, that, like, we can't go that far with it. Or it's like, no, if you want to have a frying pan that's technically a great sword, it's 2-handed with 3 properties. We'll do it.
It knocks them prone. Yeah. It's a Vorpal frying pan.
With a frying pan.
Decapitate.
So I was just curious to see if maybe anyone's had that experience of, even starting levels where someone thematically really wanted something. I don't know. Just thought it'd be cool to see if anyone's had that experience.
Iron griddle of decapitation.
Decapitated with a crit.
My answer is really short. I have not, because I've only played with like new players, And so, like, well, I've only DM'd with new players, and so like they just take the starting equipment because it's easy, and they just want to like jump in as fast as they can and play. That's I there probably are limitations. Like if somebody was like, oh, I want to carry around a really big thing of cotton candy and throw it at somebody, and I would be like, well, if I was running a type of campaign where that was something that could be done, then sure, that'd be great. But in like a typical D&D setting, I'd probably be like, no.
Right. It was more just a branch out question to see if anyone's had someone like I'm using Kurtz's blade as an example of someone where, even just thematically speaking, it was just a quick little skin change, really, if anything, to something. I thought it'd be kind of cool. If anyone's had that,
like specifically,
no,
Yeah.
no.
No?
I think that this is supposed to be a storytelling game. It's supposed to be a collaborative narrative experience, like I think reskinning, like you're saying, is a perfect way to say that. Like, you're not changing anything in the game, you're just adding narrative flair, and you're adding a reason and a way for a character to be more attached and more involved with their character. How would that ever hurt a game? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, that kind of stuff is a no-brainer in my opinion for the way I like to run games. You know what I mean? Like, you want your players to be having fun. Let them have the ways that they want, that they need to dive into your world. I think a lot of new DMs, that's something they struggle with, is getting their players immersed, like getting them comfortable to role play in it when nobody has the experience or knows how to do it. Well, it's like, well, you got to compromise in some areas to whatever they need to feel comfortable to try it, let them do that. And if it's reskinning gear, that is such a small price to pay to let them have fun and get in character.
I actually just thought about it. It wasn't an actual weapon that somebody got, but my cleric did use one time a spiritual weapon, and they turn it into a giant piece of bread. And that's how they would kill people. It's just a giant piece of bread that they just slayed monsters with. Which,
Whenever they did it, would they be like, "You're toast," and then
no, sadly, people don't use
Halo!
weapons in my campaigns.
Super 2.
wow. Well, they were really crummy at you.
Oh my god.
Seems like you're going at crumbs at this point.
Oh god.
Oh, I feel like you kind of had that set up in your mind, Kayla. Like you literally had that set up back to back, ready.
She's just waiting for
I
it.
actually paid Spaz like before the stream. I was like, "Hey, mention somebody using
Bread.
bread as a spiritual weapon. Don't ask me why, but you'll thank me later."
Bread in here somewhere.
Well, and taking into another thing with reskinning is Kyle was there for this, but in our Friday game, I was playing a Forge Cleric, and I basically made a Warhammer just out of a dragon's skull and its tooth. So, it was still a Warhammer, just it was made out of parts of a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and honestly, just thinking back to it, it's not like someone couldn't start with that as a weapon if it was, thematic or background related or something cool. So, yeah, again, it was just a curious question since we're talking about starting stuff. Sidebar notes, I don't know if anyone ever does it or cares about it all that much, but I had two more questions. The one, does anyone use encumbrance? Does anyone honestly do that? Is it like the hardcore way to do stuff, or is it for the most part like as long as you don't get carried away and carry around fucking cast iron tubs on your back, like that doesn't make any fucking sense. But for the most part, if it's kind of within range, like whatever, or is anyone really a stickler?
I've
Or
never
seen
tracked
someone be
it.
a stickler?
I have seen a streamed one where like every resource possible was a commodity. Like, you never got health potions, you never got money. Like, it was like the currency was metal, getting swords and shields and melting them down and trading. It was like a trade thing or whatever. And for stuff like that, where you're min-maxing, tracking every little thing, I think that's when encumbrance takes has a place when it's part of the game mechanics for a reason, for the economy. But I don't think you should like, no, you can carry whatever you want, because I mean, what if they're like, oh, I just bought a baby elephant? It's like, well, you can't carry a baby elephant. Well, we're not tracking, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some kind of balance.
When the problem with that is I've been over encumbered just by my money. Like, I've had so much money at points that has over encumbered me.
Well, okay, baller.
No, because I have low strength. Low strength means you can't carry a lot of money, which is crazy.
And gold adds up fat. Well, not gold, just coins in general. Because
coins in general.
Every 50 coins is a pound or something of that sort.
Like
so
that.
That can get crazy after a while.
That's actually a really good trick that a DM can use, though, is if you don't want your players to walk away with a shit ton of money, but they're doing something where there would be a lot of coins. If they open a chest and it's all copper, and they're like, well, great, there's $5,000, 5,000 gold worth of copper, but there's 500,000 copper pieces. Like, we cannot carry this out of here. It's like, well, how much do you want to carry? I'll grab 1,000. Like, I don't want to have my whole bag full of them. So I'll grab 1,000. Well, then they didn't get that much. So that's a really good way to, especially at the starting levels of a campaign. Shit ton of copper. They're not gonna want it. It's like pennies. If someone walked up with a wheelbarrow of pennies, here, you want this? I would probably say no. What the fuck am I gonna do with $500 worth of pennies? Like, I'm not gonna walk my ass to the bank to exchange it out. No, you just keep it, dude. I'm good. Like.
Good way to piss them off.
$500 worth of pennies. I don't know. Like,
if you owe someone $500, that's a good way to pay them back.
I know, but it's an inconvenience.
Hopefully, I don't owe them because something bad, because I probably just get killed at that point. But yeah, here's money.
They'd be like, listen here, smartass.
So the third question I had, and it's still starting equipment, I promise.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever tried to challenge themselves with? It kind of leads in with my question earlier about like barbarians always having this weapon. Has anyone ever tried to challenge themselves with their starting equipment, in particular the weapon? Sure, but like my first thought would be like, has anyone ever tried to like, I want my character to dual wield whips. I'm gonna be a badass wielder. Let's see how this character goes. Like, and whether it works or not, I don't know. The side question to that would be like, did you stick with it? Did you change it? Like, that was fucking stupid, Kyle. Like, don't ever do that again. Or it was like, actually, it's pretty cool. Or, just little side stories, really, of like, or have you seen other people do that?
I guess when it comes...
Go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to my story for challenging myself, there was one campaign I played a while back ago. It was only about 7 sessions at most, but I started out with ragged clothes and a dagger, and everyone else started out with regular equipment, but that was just my goal because my character was a homeless wood elf. And that's all he did. Was he knew herbs and everything, which he was a druid, but he didn't have any druid focus or anything of that sort. So he just had his dagger, which was rusty as well, so it actually had a -1 to roll damage done with it. But
wow,
I guess when it comes to that, that's the biggest challenge I've had when it came to my character, but that was extremely fun to play. But yeah.
It's been so long since I've been a player. I can't remember now.
Just make it up.
So, Morning Stars are the spike balls on the stick, and then the flails is the one with the chain in between, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so flails.
A morning star could be either or, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought, yeah, the stick. Anyway, the one with the chain. I've always thought that'd be a really cool weapon to use. Do you have one? Yes, yes. I mean, can you imagine having 2 of those and
you actually have one. That's awesome.
There you go. Yeah. I think that'd be sweet. I don't know if you could do. I think that's a 2-handed weapon, but I always thought that'd be just thematically a really fun weapon, and especially if you get to like describe your finishing blows. Like.
I thought it'd be fun. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Exploding someone's face.
Flails aren't 2-handed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flails are one-handed
You can
because
use
I
two
have a
flails.
paladin.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, because I've seen flail and shield before done by paladins all the time.
Oh yeah, duh. Yeah.
So I don't know, dual wielding flails though.
That'd be so cool.
Maybe if the end of the flails were the skulls of your enemy. Now that would be
That'd be dope.
intimidating.
Dipped
Well, I
in
mean,
anime.
if you're talking about dual wielding, what about dual wielding shields?
Oh, I actually
What about that?
dealt with
How
that
are you,
before.
Dor?
I've never thought of that. If someone purposely
you
didn't want to
would
have
you
a weapon
stack
just so
those?
they're
Would you stack
So-
that +2, or would they only
I
get
would-
+2 from one of them?
I would allow that stack to it, and plus, if they want to take Shield Master as well, they could take Shield Master.
And
I
they could
Just have
ask
two
people.
tower shields, and you're basically just a wall walking towards your enemies.
I think that's
Yeah.
cool if
I
because if
did
they're
that.
yeah, if they're giving up the ability to do traditional attacks, you might as well give them that extra +1. That's actually pretty cool.
Oh, now I know what my next
okay.
character is going to be. He's going to fight with 2 shields.
And especially
Yeah,
if
Gordon-
like if they set up to where like they have a sword inside one of the shield, you know, so like if they had to, they could drop one as an action and pull it out, you know, like so that you couldn't not have a weapon all the time. But I think that would be sweet just to have somebody like, I got you.
just
So
kind
in the-
of had the idea from that.
in the Friday game, Joe, if you remember, Gorthos had 2 shields. I had it specially made where I bought 2 shields because I
Yeah,
wanted to
but
do
you
that.
immediately left after you got those. You got
No,
them
I
and
didn't.
left
No,
the
I
same
didn't.
session.
No, I didn't. It was the next question after that. Anyway, but I was like, dude, can I do 2 shields? And after talking with the DM for a little bit, we talked about like, does it stack? Does it not stack? Am I giving up fighting? Give up more AP? Like, so we had like this whole conversation. In the end, I think what we ended up doing was I bought 2 shields, gave it to a special armor master who combined them and made them like arm gauntlets.
hmm
Yeah.
So it gave me a +1 instead of a +2, like a regular shield would. But if I activated them together, it would give me +3. So you kind of got the both pros and cons of it. That was kind of cool. So
okay.
the standard shield's a +2, but
A
the smaller
+3 to
+1.
AC though? That is
But-
really strong.
If I did my bonus action to combine them, like you couldn't attack with it, but I had a +3 and stuff. So it was still cool. You know, pros and cons, back and forth.
Bacon brings up a good point. You take Tavern Brawler, now those shields are actually weapons.
Yeah, you can
Yeah, especially if it's bucklers.
Mm-hmm.
Start
Love
pinging
Huh.
people with shields.
PvP, yeah, PvP ideas.
Dual wield the whip, man.
Just whip's
Keep
so
Get
bad
the
in
fuck out of here.
5e, sadly.
Yeah,
Well,
would it be
hey.
like-
Thank you, Spaz. That's another good thing. When Sean was talking about flails, you know, as much fun as they are, has anyone ever thought of starting equipment as something that's a little underwhelming than what you think it would be? Because flail is the first one that always comes to mind for me. As cool as it is, it doesn't like thematically it's awesome, but the damage
It does a lot,
is
actually.
like,
It does a d8 damage. I think it's actually the same as a longsword, if I'm correct.
I
or
think-
something of that sort.
But even
Yeah,
if,
flail.
yeah, it's like, well, what does your class get for a starting weapon? This that does a 1d8. I'm totally okay with, okay, well, this 1d8 could be a flail instead, or it could be a bow staff instead. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck what the weapon is. If you get the 1d8, then you can just have that, and whatever you pick, that's the damage type. You know, like,
And I just noticed Flail and Morningstars, they deal the same amount of damage, but Morningstar is piercing, Flail is bludgeoning.
yeah. So like with the
You
flail,
think
you
the Flail would be piercing
you
too?
could dual wield them, but you'd have to really go down the rabbit hole of it. But you can still do it.
Morning-
Just
Morningstar's just a club with spikes at the end, though.
wing around a D8. But yeah, anyway. So that was my next question. If there was anyone that thought, like, because when I said whip, Spaz was like, whip. Like, there could be so much cooler, but they're not. You know, just if anyone had any thoughts about maybe some other
hey,
weapon that.
Indiana Jones had one, and he's a badass.
He was okay.
You know, I haven't done it myself, but I have a warlock in my current campaigns, and he dual wields quarter staffs.
Oh, quarterstaffs. Okay.
Quarterstaffs.
They can be used one-handed. They're
They
versatile.
can be used one-handed, and he
Yeah.
has just regular magic staffs. He has the staff of protection or the staff of shielding. I forget the name.
Well,
of
a
it.
quarterstaff is going to be the same length as a longsword, so that you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it. They're not that heavy. You couldn't.
But
I would
they're
say you
still
couldn't.
wood.
You couldn't do like 2 full-size staffs. That would be too hard.
I think staffs go in the same area of quarterstaffs as well. I thought they don't have to be wielded with 2 hands.
For like full-blown. Picture Darth Maul with 2 double-blade lightsabers. Like, how the fuck would you do that? You need 2 hands to be able to manipulate it. You know, like you couldn't. You could hold 2, but I don't know if you could use it in combat efficiently.
The saber staff is a very inefficient weapon.
A monk, you could do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting thought. Well, not thought, but it's interesting to watch that happen, especially with 2 quarterstaffs running into battle. But yeah.
Well, speaking of quarterstaffs and magical staffs, we could just roll right into the next.
Yeah,
it's a nice transition, Spaz.
I think next is magic items, not magic weapons.
No, magic weapons is next. Yeah, magic weapons.
Oh, magic weapons. Okay.
Yeah, magic.
You gotta pass this time, Kyle.
Ha! Suck it, Joe.
You're lucky you live in a different state.
Don't be a potato-y.
He's growing
Don't
up.
be a potato-y.
Don't be a
Don't be a
potatox. Don't be a dick. That's what it is. The rule of cool, man.
Gone now. It's all gone now.
Drawing privilege is revoked.
Poor Kyle.
You on probation. Alright, so magic weapons. Big difference between regular weapons. Sometimes not really. So first of all, let's kind of define terminology. So just a high crafted standard sword. Could it plausibly be a +1, +2, +3, +4? Or do they need to have magical properties? There are different opinions on this. For some people think that no, if you get a +1 sword, it's because it's magical. And then some people go into there's customizable, like with different tiers for making something magic. Some people play to where you can take anything and put magic on it and make it better. And then some people are like, no, there is regular items and there's magic items. Like, that's 2 different lines, and you don't get to take this sword. You know, the only problem with that is, like, with Kurtz, he's got his big-ass sword. You know, like, if that's his character signature thing, and he's level 17, you know what I mean? Does he have to choose, do I bring my shitty starter weapon that is my signature that art is made after, you know what I mean, or do you make it to where that sword can level up with you? What do you guys
I actually have 2 classifications of magic weapons, at least when it comes to swords and metal type weapons.
Thanks, Fireside.
My magic weapons actually get classified in the category of rare materials like mithril and antiantium, which are their own weapons of chance, but if you have a type of magical material to make the sword out of it, I count it as a plus whatever for how much gold that's put into it. But there are enchantment weapons as well, which can be dispelled in my ruling. So that's the big difference in my games where it comes to magic items, or at least magic weapons, when it comes to the +1 categories, I guess.
I mean, and that's something that's changed from previous editions. Like you said, a well-crafted weapon. In older editions, that was just called a masterworked weapon. That's just not a thing anymore, which kind of does suck. Because then that was something you could do. Well, I don't have enough money to buy a +1 magic sword, but I might have enough money to buy a masterwork sword, which, I mean, doesn't do a lot more than a regular weapon. I think all it was like did 1 extra point of damage, but it wasn't classified as magical. So, I mean, if it's a +1, generally that's just assumed. The way I assume is that means that whoever made it put some magical thing into it just to make it magical.
I think that's kind of the general consensus, that if it's a +1, it's magic.
Yeah, they did something to
magic,
put magic into it.
Yep.
I don't think it needs to be, but I think that's generally what I see, is that, like, for some reason, if there couldn't be magic in a thing, well, then you wouldn't have the +1. You know what I mean? Like, it's the plus is because of the magic.
Well, I mean, and people generally use that as because it's a +1, and that makes it a magical weapon, which means that the thing that's immune to damage that isn't magical, now I'm hurting it because I'm using the +1. That's how people assume it.
Yeah, I would still just say it's a sword. It just has magic properties, and the properties is the +1. I would say it's not magical damage. It's just doing more damage because it's magic.
You can have a magically enhanced weapon without having a magic weapon.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Right.
I guess that's the statement.
Depending on the DM, though, too.
Right.
I mean, it kind of lumps, my lady hum. It lumps my words got jumbled. It kind of goes into the same category of, like, if a DM is really balls deep on encumbrance, or like if they're going to differentiate between, sorry, Kayla, if they're going to differentiate between a +1 weapon being magical to overcome things that have magic resistance, or they separate where a +1 magic weapon is not a magic item. Like, I think it's going to count the DM. I would say probably the DM who watches the encumbrance probably has that separation of a +1 weapon, even magical, is not a magic weapon to hit creatures that are magic resistance.
What about that spell, Magic Weapon? The spell that just literally makes a weapon a +1. Would you then? Does that become something that does overcome it then?
Here's one for Bacon, or like Shillelagh, which specifically is a spell to make it a magic weapon. So it's things too where, if a DM's kind of, in the gray area of, look, it's a +1 magic weapon, it does the same thing, because technically right around that time that you'd be getting a +1 weapon, it's like the 5, 6, 7 category where you might be fighting things that have the magic resistances, so you're probably going to have that thing anyway, whether it be a class feature or a monk feature kind of thing. So who the fuck cares at that point? Or if someone, again, is really not necessarily gung-ho on the rules, but at least trying to stick to them to a certain default standard, I think it's kind of a DM call in terms of how, again, where they lump those categories together. But I did write that down, Sean, that you talked about going back to Kurtz's weapon. Is like, that's a hard thing to do when it comes to a character in the beginning stages being so attached to this thing, especially if they tie it into their background. For my very first D&D character ever, his glaive was very important to him because it was like a family thing that was given to him. And then you get to level 5 where, you're going out in the world, you have gold, you can buy magic weapons. Well, now I have these 2 fucking fire axes and my shitty fucking family glaive. Well, what do you do at that point? So, I mean, there's other things you can do, and you can enchant the thing, and, but again, that's a DM call too, because if you don't enchant items, it's just magic stuff. You kind of tied your hands for your character really loving their dual wielding whips. What do they do when they,
I mean, because it's justifiable for a DM to say, that's fantastic that you are attached to this weapon, but that weapon's not magic. So why should you get to rank it up? If you want to keep the nostalgia thing for your character, well, then you don't get a stronger weapon. Like, that could, I guess it's all about, like, how you present it to the players. If it's like, no, you can still keep the damn thing if you want. Like, when you're sporting your hero poses, you could use your favorite sword. But like when you were a child, you played with toys, and then you became a man, you stopped playing with it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with adventuring. Like when you were a beginning adventurer, you played with shitty weapons. Why should you keep that toy with you when you're up there, when you're stronger? So I think
it depends on too. I mean, if there's games where there's magic items you can buy and magic weapons you can enchant, you go to this magic, if it's a thing. I mean, if it's not a thing, it's not a thing, then you're fucked. But I mean, if there is a place where you could go and shove this gem into your sword and now it's enchanted over a week and you spend the money on it, again, it's thematic stuff. It's all in the DM and world that you're living in. But again, yeah, I actually wrote that down because, man, sometimes people get attacked, especially your barbarians and your fighters, man. We can't just turn our shit in. Like, this is my thing. Yeah, I love it.
And just because something's magical doesn't mean it's better than what you already had. Because you can have a really good freaking greatsword, and then you found a magical greatsword of answering. Is that really that much of an improvement over the greatsword you're already using? Oh, now I have a greatsword that talks to me.
Yeah. I guess that matters on the player and how they see magic. Because there are some players that just like, oh, this one has a little bit more, but it's still better, so I'm going to take that. But I guess it matters how more or less the player's taking that type of object and how they're putting it in towards their character. But yeah. I would say the best way is enchanting it or getting it enchanted, though.
Yeah, usually enchanting's the way to go. Takes a while.
What's your guys' preferred method of introducing magical weapons? Is it like acquiring, or is it making?
I'm in a love-hate relationship right now with crafting magic items because the biggest problem I'm noticing, it gets messy, but the problem is players assume that, oh, I want to make this. Do you have any clue what that actually is? Does your character have any clue what that is, I guess?
Right, your character, so, yeah, not you, yeah.
Especially when they're specifically asking for a certain type of magic item as well as they're shopping. Like, I would just say you're walking to the magic shop and you're looking around. You're not going to just ask for this and, oh, they're going to have it on stock, or they're even going to...
Overstock.com, not a sponsor, but... Could be. Yeah, if anyone out there is watching.
Both ways work, because I was playing a Cleric of the Forge lizard folk. I made magic weapons. I used the fact that I was a cleric. I had spells that I would just infuse into the weapons I made using my forge abilities. I mean, it took time, but it's not like I was making specific weapons. Like, I wasn't making a firebrand, but I could make a sword that could do fire damage. It wasn't flame tongue, or if I put cold into it, it wasn't necessarily a frostbrand, but it was a sword that did cold damage.
Yep.
Here's a quick thought. I'm gonna give a shout out to Bacon. One of the things I know he'd like to do in his game is just to keep it simple for everyone. He tries to implement it, especially for the melee characters, but even some of the range ones, if they're range, crossbows or arrows or whatever. But even the spellcasters, honestly, it's just about each character, just to make things easier. Now, again, this was a murder hobo game, so take it because we were going around killing stuff. But just to make a long story short, to try to make it easier on his life and the players' lives, they could still go around and collect magic items and magic weapons and stuff, but they were all gifted like this one thing that would grow with them. I mean, that's certainly something that I've seen people do before. It's regular. It awakens. It's exalted.
I miss my shield. My shield was great.
It's like my twin on the back of my neck. It just grows with me. Yeah.
It keeps growing and growing.
Oh.
Had a cleric that had a shield that every time I healed for an extra 3, and then that person would get a shield on them when I healed them.
Shields.
It's great.
Shields for everyone. Shields all around. But anyway, I mean, has anyone done that before, or does anyone not like that idea where it kind of takes away from the game of going to look for shit now, or every time we find a magic weapon, well, I have mine, so let me trade that in for 3,000 gold real quick. It's all loot at that point, but just thoughts.
A lot of it has to do with what is the DM's reward structure. Like, how does he give, or her, gotta be politically correct now. Sorry, Kayla, I apologize.
I don't know, Bacon. What do you identify as?
They.
In the
they,
chat.
them. So like, some DMs love just giving out gold. Like, I don't get, like, it's like Christmas presents. When grandma's like, what do you want for Christmas? Cash, grandma. You can't buy good gifts. You don't know what the fuck I want. Like, just give me cash. Sometimes that's the best reward, is you guys save up and buy exactly what you want. but there's no heart behind it. There's no like coolness behind it.
But they don't know what they truly want.
And exactly, and then sometimes, yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of different ways, and then some people like to like, no, you get this specific thing when I say the story's ready for you to have this. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's one general like this is the way to do it. I mean, it really depends on the structure of the progression of the story.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely a big fan of evolving magic items, regardless if it's a weapon or some sort of I guess, combat device. I do enjoy. Usually they're combat devices, but they sometimes have other things. But I do enjoy having magic items that do progress with the party within their levels. So it's not like, oh, I have this common magic item, 50 gold. I'll take that. I do enjoy it because it gets me as the DM to understand my players better and their characters, so I can actually work with them as well as it progresses with them. Also, when they slowly turn evil, and I get to make items that slowly kill themselves. But
I mean, it helps them form a bond with the item too. Like we ended up getting a Spear of the Ancients, I think it was called, that just as it was used, the more you used it, the more elements of damage it could deal per turn. Like it started with fire, cold, and lightning damage, and then after using it for a while, it gained radiant and necrotic, and then a little later, it would gain even more of the elements.
Like you get to pick one of them, or did all?
Yeah, you pick one every turn.
Oh, I was like, that's way too broken if you did all types.
No, when you make an attack, you choose one of the elements. You now, for that turn, you deal that element, and you're resistant to that element until your next turn.
Oh, that's
pretty cool.
That's pretty OP. That's pretty OP. Smack my mic.
Yeah. Unless you did lower amount of damage, that seems really.
Yeah. It was a D6.
Really broken.
It was just 1d6 of damage.
I guess if I had something like that, I would rule it that it does like 1 point of that damage, but you could transfer it back each attack. But I guess that's pretty weak comparing what level the party is.
Well, I mean, the cleric had it, which means I was only making one attack a turn, so.
Yeah, that also works out.
When you take into account, I'm taking one attack a turn. That's not much damage when you take into account a fighter. If he was using it, it's just tearing through people if he was using that thing.
That's also another thing to look at as well.
How do you guys feel about making players attune things to themselves?
I love it.
Like, this is mine, no one else
always
can use
make it a tune.
Or if you do, anyone else that picks up my sword, if I drop it and you use it, you're like at disadvantage and no proficiencies. You know, like I like that kind of stuff. Like, that's your fucking baby. Like, somebody could use it, but they're not gonna be good with it.
I really like attune items because I like the attunement slots. They only get 3 slots.
Yep.
But they get 3 slots, which definitely varies their choices because sometimes they get a really cool armor or a really cool weapon or even just really cool item that could do something really awesome and they have to tune to it. So it has to make them decide what they're going to do, and they only do one during a short rest or a long rest. So it's definitely going to have to be an option for them to do.
I could carry the other ones, but if it's not like equipped, you can't use it.
The cloak swapping. Just having 20 cloaks in your bag folding.
I mean, or what you could do is if they're carrying it around and not attuned to it, when they use it, it just doesn't do anything special. If you have a Holy Avenger, but you're not attuned to it, well, you're just doing greatsword damage with it. You're not getting any of the other benefits from that item now.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to club someone with the greatsword, go ahead, but you're not doing radiant damage. You're not lighting people up. It's just a greatsword until you spend the time to attune to it.
It's not hard to attune.
It takes a short rest.
It takes a short rest, which I guess that's the time frame of it that counts, I guess, sometimes.
I mean, you take into account, well, you just entered a fight with a demon. Well, damn, I'm not attuned to that Holy Avenger. I guess for this fight, I don't have that Holy Avenger now. Because I didn't think ahead. Although if you have a Holy Avenger, you should always be attuned to it.
Yeah. That's a legendary item. What are you doing?
Unless you have a Holy Avenger +2, then you wouldn't even bother.
I was going to say, if you get something better than a Holy Avenger, your DM did something very wrong.
Just going back to Sean's grandma Christmas present thing.
Thanks, Grandma.
The
Shout out to my grandma. She's dead, but I love her.
But just going to that example, as much as it's, from that side of the tracks to say, give gold so I can go buy what I want, from a DM perspective, it's really kind of cool to have something out there in the world that, yeah, sure they can buy, but also a loot drop or something like, and see a player light up over, wait a second, what is this thing? Whether it be amazing story, amazing, that whole combo, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a little give and take to that too. Magic item or magic weapon. I mean, magic weapon, like, it's not like King Arthur went and bought Excalibur. Like, that's a fucking badass thing. He didn't just go to the magic shop and buy it because
flip through his player handbook. This is what I want,
yeah,
DM.
Yeah. You went through the DMG real
Make
quick.
Make up my backstory. I want to be destined for greatness.
Right. So I mean, we're playing this game. We're adventuring in the world to be heroes and stuff. So I mean, that kind of stuff I think matters too. So again, it's a DM preference. It's a player preference. I'm sure it's something that was talked about at some point. But I think you can bond over a weapon that grows with you, but you can also bond over stuff that is story related. It can still be amazing and epic and have that tie-in too. I think that's kind of cool when that happens.
I mean, and it allows the DM to also control what's in the party. If she makes it, well, I'm just going to give you the gold and you can go buy it. Well, now, because you're getting your magic items through purchase, the DM now can at least be sure that you're getting the items that they want you to get. These are the items that are appropriate for what they're planning ahead. So it does allow the DM to get the items out there that should be out there. And I mean, they adjust the prices, so they know exactly how much gold you got. They know exactly how much you have to spend on that item that they want you to now have.
And that's a really good point too, because on the flip side of that, let's go back to getting nothing but gold, or even if it is a combo of story and weapon and Excaliburs and things. But if you do have gold and you go to that magic shop, right, and there's this thing on the wall where you're like, yo, wait, how much is this thing? And they're like, it's 10,000 gold. You're like, fuck, but I know what I'm buying now when I save up for it. So it's like, it's another little video game kind of thing, or whatever, or storyline thing where it's like, I cannot wait to save up to buy.
It's carrot at the end of the stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so like Joe was saying, a DM can still control that and level that, whereas still having it available to the players, but still be attainable. Just not right now.
I was thinking about implementing a magic shop in the campaign for you guys to go into, and there'd be a lot of cool shit on the walls. But for you guys to buy it, it takes real money, like real world currency. This shiny sword right here, Kyle.
It's $6 US.
Fuck that. $20 US currency. This magic sword can be yours.
USD. You see this Holy Avenger right here? That's 20
bucks.
bucks.
A hard bargain, $17. Yeah.
Oh shit! I'll pay 20. I'll pay 20 bucks.
As long as I'm negotiating prices with Puck. Can I get that?
I will pay you $5 real life if you take the sword.
$20 for a Holy Avenger. That's a steal.
Yeah. We start with Sean charging me $20 for that battle axe guitar on the wall for my bard, and at the end he's giving me the guitar and $5. Like, how did we get here? Love negotiating. Fuck. Just take it. All I want is a hug and come back.
Just be my friend.
That actually brings up something I wanted to ask you, Sean. With the character creation in your campaign, you had it to where they would roll up at specific levels. They were getting magic items. Have you discussed with them how that's happening, or do you want to discuss how that's happening?
I have.
Like, did they just find the item randomly at that level, or?
So there has been something we've been keeping from them for a long time. We are ending our session 0 escapade after one more hoorah. So. Kyle,
session 0.
What is the little tidbit that you found out?
Don't.
I need a surprise. I want to surprise someone with it.
Yeah.
What is it, Kyle?
I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll kill you, Kyle.
Kyle, you have no right to say no spoiling after last night.
It was only one slip up after so many times that.
Touche.
All right, so I guess you're going to stay tuned to
Check
find
this
out
out.
what it is.
That means I gotta wait like a week before I find out. Because I can't watch the episodes live. I gotta wait for you guys to put them up, and you guys take forever to put the episodes up.
Yeah, the
Sean?
last one I haven't even. I was kind of
Uploaded.
torn about even uploading it,
Yeah.
but I will. Yeah, I definitely will. And then next Tuesday we're planning on continuing. Oh shit, we forgot to take a break. Yeah, so we're going to. Yeah, we didn't stream yesterday because we had an important meeting we had to go through. But yeah, next Tuesday we're going to be playing, and we're going to wrap up the session 0 stuff, and then we're going to keep doing Red Dragon Inn until we find our 4th player and we're ready to finally hard launch. But we're going to go on our first 5-minute break. When we come back, we will probably transition into magic items. So we'll try to jump in the chat, play some games with you guys. Yes, Spaz.
I have one more thing when it comes to weapons. I guess a question before after we come back.
Yeah.
From break.
Cool. Okay. So thanks for sticking around. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Okay, good. I gotta go pee.
Yep.
everyone's yelling at each other. Oh! What is happening?
It's all this.
Alright, we are back. Thanks everyone for sticking around.
Hey!
And we're going to continue our talk about items. We already went over starting items, magical weapons, and now we're going to go into magic items. Before we do that, Spaz, we want to talk about one more thing about magic weapons.
It's
some of the past 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. But it was supposed to be a great transition. But that's besides the point. My question was, what are your guys' ideas when it comes to common magic item weapons? Yeah, just like small things, like not even damage. It's just small little effects, like it glows in the dark, or it has like a smoky shade to it, or even it's not even a real weapon. It's just
yeah, because that's stuff that they have in the Xanathar's book is common magic items.
Hey, I mean, it does kind of go back to, some Lord of the Rings stuff. I mean, glowy sword when orcs are around. I mean, it still could serve a purpose. So
I'm saying that the magic or the music is still going.
Oh.
No? Is that not it? That's not the music.
Red Dragon.
That,
How is that? Melissa, is the music still on? Let me know in the chat. I think I turned it off.
Music's still on.
Still on? I got
This is
desktop,
fast.
audio, microphone.
I don't hear it anymore. It's
Okay,
gone.
good. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I unmuted it just to check. Yeah, the music's
Cool.
gone
All right, continue.
yes.
So my thoughts on it real quick are, I mean, if it's lower level stuff and, it might not do extra damage or something, but I mean, if it serves a purpose, I mean, what, the Sword of Warning? I mean, that doesn't really do anything.
Well, that's not common. That's uncommon.
That's uncommon, and that's pretty useful. That's advantage on initiative. That's a lot of good things from them.
Mm-hmm.
No, but like a common one, I think it's just the Moon Touch, which is basically just when you're outside, it glows, basically.
Or a weapon counts as an arcane focus. That's the War Mage Ruby. Something
Yes,
like
Ruby
that.
the War Mage is actually a really good item.
It is, but it requires
It's-
attunement, so is it worth it? Who's he?
Yeah, but when you stick it into the hilt of a weapon, you're already...
Let me work it. Because
Yeah.
Ruby prefers it.
Stuck in your mom's hilt.
Damn. I mean, and then you got some really useful common weapons like the unbreakable arrows.
Yes,
An
that
arrow that never breaks, that's great.
it's so helpful as well. It's worth the extra gold for something like that, especially as a ranger, so you don't
If you
have
get a
well.
quiver of those things, 50 unbreakable arrows, well, you never have to buy arrows again now.
I wouldn't say never. I quite
If you go
often
to
shoot my
50
arrows.
I mean, if you
off a
shoot off a
cliffside.
cliff, you
arrows.
miss somebody, it goes off a cliff. It's not gonna break, but you ain't getting back. Unless
Okay,
you
you have to
got
buy
don't
arrows
worry,
for
I'm
a
gonna get
long time.
a little.
Just
If you have
a long time.
49. Fuck 48. Whatever. Keep going. I got still this one.
Yeah, at that point, the DM purposely just makes all your arrows just disappear after shooting. Oh, you kind of just shot it into the brush. You'll never see that again.
Those are
They're all
boomerang arrows. They all coming straight back for you. Give me an
That's kind of cool.
acrobatics
What's
check.
your
Yeah.
If it doesn't hit the enemy, it hits you instead. That sounds somewhat useful.
You know,
Dexterity
that'd
saving
be
throw.
actually kind of cool. Hey, you never lose the arrow. Shit, I missed the enemy. Hold on. I think my AC is low enough I can hit myself. You just pull it out of yourself and shoot it again.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, I wouldn't say it would hit you, like mattering what your AC is. If you go, I guess, above your AC but miss the enemy, it just strikes you with it. But if it's low, it just kind of returns back to you safely. So, little side effect.
That'd be kind of fun.
But it works.
Okay. Whew.
Okay, now to magic items.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's jump in. Both feet.
Do it.
Magic item. So, does anyone have a favorite? That was my first
Yes,
question.
absolutely. Necklace of prayer beads.
Those are
That is the most
purple.
underrated magic item. I love this freaking item.
It is a good one.
Oh my god, it's
They are
so.
Irma?
not.
Ermagerd.
When I was first looking through for magic items when I was making my paladin, I overlooked this item. It is now the best item I have. Because I don't think people realize that all these spells you're casting out of this thing are at bonus action speed. You're curing wounds as a bonus action. You're summoning planar allies as a bonus action. You're windwalking as a bonus action. That thing is great. Every paladin, every cleric should have it. Everything that thing casts, it has up to 6 spells that it can cast, and they're all bonus action spells. And none of these are bonus action spells. These are all spells that are normally full actions to cast.
What level is that thing?
It's an uncommon.
Yeah, it is an uncommon.
It is an uncommon item, and it does all of this stuff.
And it's also uncommon to see in games. The
Yeah, exactly, because no one uses it. Like, Kyle, had you ever heard of it until I just now mentioned it?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Every paladin and cleric should have this item. If your DM will let you have this item, get this item.
I've heard of the unholy prayer anal beads, but not.
But I mean,
that's more of a bard arcane.
It's the glamour bards, yeah.
But I mean,
there's nothing glamorous about it.
But to answer your question, no, I have not heard of those before.
Yeah.
When the next time Stanley picks up his anal beads, there's going to be a stamp mark that says Kurtz was here.
Oh my god. That's disgusting.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it can have up to 6 spells on it, and the spells it has is...
That's my first question, is what fucking level that is. So uncommon, that's
uncommon. And the spells it can have is it has a bead of curing, which either does a level 2 cure wounds or lesser restoration. It has a bead of bless, which lets you cast bless. It has a bead of smiting, which lets you cast smite. It has a bead of ally, which summons a planar ally. Has bead that gives you a windwalk. Has a bead that gives you greater restoration.
Windwalk.
Different beads it can get.
Is it actually windwalk?
It's the windwalk spell. It gives you access
to the windwalk spell.
Yes.
That is outrageous. That is a level.
As a bonus action. 6. Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Get this.
I don't remember the windwalk ability. I thought it was.
Remember if that's on there,
Misty
but
4.
I remember it's a broken item for the rarity.
Yeah, I would bump that up to very rare or even just rare.
Leave it.
Hey, don't worry. The DM still smites. DM still smites in the end.
Maybe you should get one of those full of vicious mockery, Kyle. So maybe you could actually land one.
Oh, you're such a funny guy.
And everyone is just being so savage tonight.
I like it.
Well, compared to last night, at least it's not all directed towards you. So.
But I mean, but it is up to the DM what's on this thing. So, the DM could screw you and give you like 4 beads, and all of them are just... I mean, even if you had 4 of the same bead, that's still 4 spells that you're casting every day as a bonus action that you gain access to every single day that don't count against you.
Except on Tuesday nights. That's the only time they don't work.
What's the weakest one that you can get? I would think
Bless,
from
maybe
6:30 p.m. Pacific to 10 o'clock.
Bless would probably be the weakest.
But even Bless is super useful. 4 casts of Bless a day for free.
Yeah, Bless for free, and also it's a bonus action, so that could be helpful mid-combat. But
I think Bless is always a bonus action, but still, it's 4 times a day. But I mean, the things that you're getting...
bonus action?
Yeah, Bless, I think, is a bonus action. But Cure Wounds and Lesser Restoration are normal actions. Greater Restoration is a normal action. Branding Smite's a bonus action, but Planar Ally and Windwalk both as bonus actions. Both of those are great spells.
Yeah. Planar Ally.
You can summon an angel to fight with you.
I know, but I've always known that one as being a bad one because it's expensive. But that's what I remember the spell being, because I always thought Planar Ally was like 100 gold per minute or something like that.
Something like that, but a minute for having an angel fighting alongside you.
Yeah,
I think 100 gold is worth having an angel.
I guess that's also another way to look at it. Is it actually expending the components, or is it just casting the spell for you?
It just casts the spell without using the components. You cast a spell using the bead on the necklace.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's why I
fine.
love
Think
this.
of how many
OP.
wrists you have. Like you got your ankles too. You could have so many of those.
My character got eaten by a dragon and
Choker.
died. I was reincarnated, and I made sure we hunted down that dragon so I could get that necklace back. We killed the dragon, and I gutted it just to
How
get.
did you die with the necklace?
He
Jeez.
ate me.
You would think you wouldn't die with that. You wouldn't think you'd die with a necklace like that. Just, I don't
As
know,
he's
cast
eating, you're
BS
like,
and
here,
get out of there.
party.
I was
take
under the
this."
effects of Windwalk. I was under the effects of Windwalk when it ate me, so I couldn't heal myself while Windwalk.
Couldn't you walk out of it?
No, he
Couldn't
knocked
you
me
get
out.
out of there since you can go with? Oh,
He
he knocked
me
you out.
unconscious and then ate me. So he was digesting me.
He ate a cloud.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, like I said, they've
Wait, how do
reincarnated.
they resurrect you? How?
Divine intervention. Our,
Okay.
our cleric rolled a
Like-
9 on a divine intervention and resurrected me.
It's like,
Nice.
how would you get him out of the dragon to reincarnate him? Because you
Mhm.
still need a piece of him to reincarnate it.
Not
There's a
not
little
with
beat on
divine
the ground.
intervention.
Just one.
Divine intervention, you
Yeah.
can't tell God what to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, we killed that dragon just so I could get that necklace back because there was no way I was losing that necklace.
My favorite items is the Ioun stones. I don't know why, but
There's so many of them.
I love them. It's just such a cool concept, and I think it's probably because I played so much of Neverwinter, and that's what I used for my companion. I just thought it was always cool just to have. But that's just me.
I didn't know you could have an Ioun stone as a companion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
There's so many of them though. Which one do you like?
I just mean in general. Oh
Yeah.
man, specifics. I guess it depends on
Yeah.
the character, really.
Because there's what, like 10 of them?
One of my goals in game was to actually collect all of them.
That's cool.
Collect all of them, combine them into
You
one
could
giant Ioun
do it like
stone.
on Pokemon where he opens up his
Like,
vest. He's got all his badges. You got like all your stones hanging there.
No, I just want to make an Ioun gauntlet. So I
Oh,
can-
like Infinity
Infinity
Stones.
Gauntlet.
There you go.
Mhm. That was actually my entire
HotA
idea.
3.
But the problem
That's what's
was
happening. HotA
I never
3.
got to that point.
We'll be out here.
Well, okay, that's going to be a big gauntlet because there's 14 of these things.
There's 14, so one for each joint. That would still be kind of hard to use as a gauntlet, still though.
And what's
I don't
crazy,
know what I loved more, that Spaz was instantly just like, yeah, one for each joint, or that afterwards everyone was just like,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, I was just,
counting
I
their
was just
joints.
looking at all the Ioun
I
stuff.
But
don't
there's
know
5
which I
fingers.
love
How is there
more.
14? And they're like, oh, but the thumb, he's kind of retarded. So.
Did you start counting too, Sean? Because I literally went right to my hands.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
know
No,
the
like,
first thing I was like,
how
thumb.
both were just like,
I didn't even acknowledge that.
it was really funny.
It's like there's 3 each finger. That's 3 times 4, and then there's 2 on the thumb. Wait a minute, that doesn't add up.
And then one in the center.
Oh, there you go.
And that's not including because there's 2 absorption Ioun stones. There's a lesser and then there's a greater. So
Yeah.
that would count as one of them. So if you want both of them, but what's the point of having
Yeah, but
both
you
of
could
them?
never attune to all of them.
Yeah, but if you have both of them.
But that's why you make the magic item, the Ioun gauntlet. You get
right,
the blessing
you
of
just attune
Ioun.
to the one gauntlet, right?
Technically, you're attuned to one item.
Right.
But I mean, none of these are lower than rare. So good luck finding them all.
I guess if you classify it, but I think the greater absorption is very rare in categorization. But yeah,
Legendary.
legendary.
Damn.
Most of them fall into legendary and very rare. There's like 3 that are only rare.
Yeah, I like.
They
I
are
like
great
rare
though.
things.
Some of the effects that these things have are amazing.
Yeah,
It's like a diamond.
just to get that extra boost to your charisma or intelligence as a caster.
Every
so
kiss
amazing.
begins with Ioun Stone.
That doesn't sound right. It's not pleasing.
he went to Ioun.
He went to Ioun. She must know what they love.
How many
She's the
carats is that Ioun
goddess of
Stone?
knowledge. She must know.
The clarity is fantastic, but I don't know about the cut. I don't like the princess cut.
Okay, what about everyone else? What's your favorite magic item?
Go ahead, Kayla. What's yours? Go ahead.
So, honestly, The Deck of Many Things.
No.
No.
I
No.
love it.
You know
You're
what?
the-
I don't consider that a magic item. I consider that a cursed item. 'Cause that is
A cursed item is a magic item.
So
That is a curse on a campaign.
Wanda Wonder is better than Deck of Many Things, in my opinion.
I would like to defend my deck.
Oh,
if
go
you
ahead.
don't mind.
You have a nice deck, by the way.
God, you
Wants into that one.
Damn.
that was for that potato drawing that you did on the break. Thank you, God. That's my boy.
Wait, did Kayla show the potato?
She didn't. She did on break. I think she showed the
No,
viewers.
Go ahead, Kayla. Tell us about your deck. Just all in.
I don't want
Very
to.
descriptive.
No,
It's a very big deck. It's way better than anyone else's deck out there. It
So
will
you're one of-
constantly surprise you.
What color is your deck?
So you're one of those. DMs that kill the campaign.
Well, okay, so there
Funny
are
cards.
like modified versions of the Deck of Many Things where you don't actually like
Destroy your campaign.
I'm doing this. I'm sorry. He was like, oh, that
Had to
picture's
get,
like
like,
a
a booger.
southern lady. Oh, lordy. Anyway,
Atlanta?
like there are like edited versions of the Deck of Many Things so that you don't actually kill your world. But I love just how random it is. I love that it's so high risk, high reward. That is what D&D is all about. Like just being able to be like, I'm gonna pull something out at the last minute.
Out of my deck.
I'm gonna whip it out. See what
What
happens.
about your deck?
Yep.
Amaze them with the size of your deck.
Yeah.
And it's so fierce
Have
it
you-
kills the whole world.
have you had it yourself as a character? Have you had it as a game as another character? Have you had it as a DM for your players?
I've never actually gotten to use it or experience it in any way, but I
No deck
love
for
just
her.
like reading about the Deck of Many Things.
don't
Like whenever
know.
I was first,
Well, I mean, if you've never had a deck, how do you know you like it?
You gotta try everything once before you know.
God, I regret everything.
Yeah.
You know what?
My problem
No.
with the problem with the deck is even the good things just destroy your campaign or just destroy the relationship between the players sometimes.
It unbalances
Like it's fun to
things.
mess around.
My question is,
Yeah,
has Finley
it's-
ever tried deck?
Once you go
Probably.
deck, you want to go back.
You
Is that how it
you
goes?
you're
I
just
can
beating
see
a dead
Finley
horse
into
at
being
this
into
point.
deck.
Oh, Lordy.
I did not think this
Kayla
direction
immediately regretted
this
her.
meeting would
her
go.
choice.
It's all your fault,
Just-
Kayla,
She's just head to the wall.
but in a good way. In a good
Okay, what about you two? While Kayla's slowly dying.
I would say I don't know if it's cheating choosing a legendary item, but my favorite magic item is actually the Iron Flask. It is an amazing magic item, and if you don't know what it is, when you first get the flask, it's usually closed, and if the DM so chooses, they roll a D100 and you open it, something shoots out of it, which you have no clue what it is, but you have control of that for 1 hour or after letting. The thing that's special about the flask, you can make anything go inside of it if you target it with a wisdom saving throw, and it's just in this flask. And once you release it, they're yours they're under your control for an hour. So
What's great is they can't get out on their own.
they can't. So it's like, oh, that's a Tarrasque. Whoop. Let's just toss this in the ocean. Wait
On
for a
demand.
child to open that up. A child opening up the Iron Flask and the Tarrasque comes out. What would a child do with a
God. A
Tarrasque?
child with a Tarrasque.
That'd be cool. That'd actually be kind of cool.
But it's amazing having the Master Ball in 5th edition, I must say.
Oh, what's that magic item where you pull out a fucking fortress?
Oh, something's Instant Fortress. A Decoons or something like that.
Is it Impenetrable Fortress or something like that? I
No,
forget
it's
the name.
Dern's Instant Fortress.
Dern's Entrance Fortress.
Instant
Oh,
Fortress.
wait,
Yeah.
Banned from
wait,
all
I
of my
actually
games.
have-
It's cool, but
I
it's
have
just stupid to
the
have
damage
a pocket
inside.
castle.
Yeah, 'cause
Come on, man.
I have my DM guide right next to me. 10d10 of bludgeoning damage when you open that thing. I think it's insane.
Yeah.
So broken.
I love it.
Unless it comes out of a Pokeball, then I would.
I was gonna say, Kyle, didn't you and Nick have one of those?
We did. It's not so much a castle. It's like the tower of a castle. It's just like it's just one.
It's a small little like
free fort.
You guys used it to destroy a castle. You guys opened it in the basement of a castle and blew out the castle.
Yeah, and it's
Yep.
impenetrable to non-magic weapons as well, which outrageous. So
It's broken.
a simple weapons can't do anything to it. So
That's how you spell the weap's name. OPAF.
I mean, because it's made out of adamantine.
OPS. Book.
You know, all right. When it comes to my favorite magic item, I'm gonna tweak it a little bit and say that my favorite magic item is the ones that are out of book in a sense. Like they're more like the silly things. They're kind of homebrewy in a way. They don't break the game or anything dumb. It's just I love it when there's a little bit of flair, a little bit of fun to some things. Because when magic items in the game that I DM for on Wednesday, there's literally like this thrift shop, like this crazy loony shop of just all kind of just random shit. And I love, like I said, I have this whole list of things that are in there, and when my characters go in, they find all this fun stuff. I just love that stuff. Like there's a wand of pigeons. There's a monocle that you have to get really close, but then you have advantage on investigation checks, but you have to get really close. Like just little dumb nicky decky shit that doesn't do anything. It's called the Ring of the Ram. Not the Ring of the Ram. It's called Ring. The Ring of the Ram is an actual thing. It's called. I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, this ring like lets the wearer eat anything, just anything, just wood or bark or a rock, potatoes.
Is it to get nutrients from it?
Yeah, just like it's just food. It's just, and like you can't be poisoned. Like it's like the only kind of like bonus side effect of it is like you can't be poisoned, which whatever. I mean, in my game, I don't really poison my characters all that much anyway. But
I don't that much.
Fun. Yeah, not that much.
Once a counter, maybe. Yeah, it's not very often.
I have so many questions for that magic item.
It's fun to the point where it's something that, in my opinion, doesn't break the game. It adds to it. Like he's a giant fucking crocodile, for Christ's sake. Like whatever. Like he just goes around and is a hungry character, and I love the fact that he can just go eat stuff, and he loves it too. Like it doesn't do anything, but he got it as a loot drop from a big boss who was this big fat guy. So it was just one of those things where they took him out, and he got this ring, and now he can eat everything because that was that guy's ring. You know what I mean? So it doesn't do anything in terms of, in my opinion, it's not some legendary item that helps kill a kraken or something. But after they're done killing it, he can eat that bitch. Like that's awesome, and I love that. So it's a tweaked answer in a way. Like if I had to pick one that's like out of book, Deck of Many Things is awesome. I think like the belts are cool, like Giant Strength, those are awesome. I think the Cape of Billowing is just another one of those silly things where it doesn't do anything, but your cape is always billowing like a superhero. Like that's fucking great, man.
I love that item. That's a great common item.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? It doesn't do anything, it doesn't break anything, but it's like those are my kind of fun little magic items. I mean, you have the alchemy jugs and all those little what's that other one that's kind of fun? I
like the Helm of Dread.
Decanter of water.
That's a fun one. There's certain ones where like you might be able to tweak it a little bit where you don't necessarily use it the way it's supposed to be, but that's kind of half the fun of D&D too, is thinking of different ways to do stuff. But like with that ring, right? So the character ate something and he said, yeah, it's good, it's awesome. Well, then another character ate it. Well, it wasn't so good, but to him it was, but to him it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little story stuff. It doesn't, but that's kind of one of my favorite fun things is the weird, the tweet, the out off the wall stuff, like out of book. Doesn't break anything, doesn't hurt anything. I like those. I think those are cool. I think it adds a little bit.
Just hurts the people you eat.
Mm-hmm. there is that.
Okay, I have a question for the group now.
Yeah.
What is the most wackiest magic item or the most craziest one that you've created and given to your party? Doesn't have to be cursed or anything, it's just strange.
Oh, okay. But like we created, not one that like we found.
Yeah,
or
you created
cursed. Everything strange has always been because of curse, I think.
I think curse would be something that could directly affect the person wielding it, which I guess you can consider the deck of many things a cursed item, but a cursed item you cannot identify or anything like that, I guess.
And real quick, so there is a Ring of the Ram, which everyone knows what that one does. I was close. It is the goat, and goat makes sense because they can like eat everything. So that's what.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So continue. Ring of the goat. So something that we've created as a magic item.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's create a magic item right now, all 5 of us, and we can get some input from the from the viewers as well.
I like it. I like that. That sounds fun.
So we got Shadow and Fire and some other people in the chat. So we're going to get you guys' your opinions here. So should it be a weapon or an equipable thing? Let's kind of figure out what we want to do here first. Is it gonna be like
I think it should be a wondrous item because then we can make it really crazy.
And we can bring this into the game too. I don't know when, but yeah, this would be fun. So we're gonna create. So let's get some ideas in the chat going, and then some ideas from you guys. And it could be like a set. It could be like, for instance, it could be 3 different rings or 4 different rings or something like that. Like, oh, let's do a thing that's 4 components. So either like each player could get one, or one could try to mask the set or something like that.
Let's make Voltron.
Curse of clumsiness. The player gets a negative or disadvantage on reflex, but if we want the base item, I think the curse should be where they all.
I think we're trying not to make a cursed item. We're just trying to make a magic item that's not very useful, but not bad.
It can be used,
mask,
but
TMNT. That's pretty cool. That's from Melissa. Headband mask for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you pulled at my heartstrings.
Yeah, that's definitely a Kyle inspiration right there.
I don't know. What about like freaking rings like the Wonder Twins?
I think rings would be a decent idea.
A whistle would be pretty fun.
A whistle.
I haven't made a whistle in a while.
I don't know. I actually do like the headbands one. That'd be kind of funny. Like a set of headbands.
Should they be like just a band, or should they have like a metal plate on the front, like on Naruto?
I think it should be a headband like a mask headband that covers up your face or your eyes. I bet.
We could do it just to be
thematic.
The game. Yeah, I was gonna say a mask with a bandana. Bandanas have come up already in the games before. That's a thing.
Oh,
because then they could just literally wear it as a headband, and when they need to, they just. Or what it could be is the mask itself could be like with something like glasses, where it has no effect until they slide it down, and then the effect activates.
Okay, I got an idea. So, the magic item would be a mask, and it's never in one piece. It's a fragment mask, and it has 4 pieces, but someone could wear that one piece, and it gives a certain ability to that one thing.
That's kind of cool.
I like Fireside.
So you could either assemble all 4 on one person, or each person could wear.
I would say it can't be assembled. That's its one flaw. It can't be assembled. Or if it is assembled, maybe something bad happens. All those effects become negative.
The headband of Shadowleaf Village. Increase your base speed by 5, but you have to trigger it with your arms held out behind you.
That is so amazing. Yes.
That's hilarious.
The anime run.
You got to do the anime run.
Which technically Kurtz did when he ran across the thing, because he rolled like a crit to get across it. So he goes,
you know what? No. Instead of base speed by 5, do base speed by 10, but then your charisma goes down by 10.
Because you think you look cool, but you don't.
You're running faster, but you look like an idiot when you do it.
But if you're running faster, then people will believe it. That's the thing, though.
Oh my god, did you seriously just say that?
But if you are running faster, then
what
you
would you
prove the
do in
point,
real
I
life if you
guess.
saw somebody running who was doing the arms with their chest?
I've seen it.
What a dweeb.
I've seen it before, but here's my
I've
question:
seen it.
if they were going 50 miles per hour,
The thing is,
Would you
though, is
judge them?
scientifically
wouldn't
that
say
actually
yeah.
works. You do run faster like that. It just looks so stupid.
You don't run faster
I
like
don't-
that.
Yes, you do.
don't.
It's
You
actually
don't.
you actually do.
You don't.
that's less aerodynamic. 'cause-
Olympians would do
Technically, you become more aerodynamic
that.
because
No.
when you think about it, when Olympians are running, how do they end the race?
The
Okay,
Russo.
so
That's like
the
a
thing-
lunge.
behind
No, they do that in the anime because it's easier to draw. They don't want to have a blurry arms in the way of the characters. Hashtag Naruto challenge.
I feel like we're something close to something fun. I like it. I like it.
Naruto challenge.
Like I said, I actually do kind of like that headband.
I mean, yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
do
that's cool.
a less liked anime Boruto.
A less liked anime than Naruto.
No, the less liked Naruto series, Boruto, his son.
Boruto.
Oh, Boruto, I
I
haven't
got a
seen
poster on my
Yes.
wall actually. Boruto. I like it.
It's no, it's just
I haven't
I
seen
no.
like it. It's good.
Boruto's such a bad kid.
Yeah, you're right, because Naruto was such a good
He's
kid.
way more badass than Naruto is.
No.
It's a D&D talk show, not anime.
doesn't-
Yeah, why are we talking about fucking Naruto?
Damn you, Melissa.
People are going to wide source items.
Sean, are
Just
you...
make a magic item.
Yeah, magic item.
Okay.
Like I said, I do kind of like the idea of like it's a headband
Let's
that when
first-
you slide it down over your eyes, it gets an effect.
I guess
Spaz,
Go.
you're frozen like this.
been. Ooh, do we want to make
I was gonna say, yeah, I see
Magic-
that too.
Wait, what?
You're frozen on our screen like this.
No, it's like this.
Surprise!
I'm frozen.
Oh, now it's like
Gotta
that.
get Okay.
That's great. It's okay. While you're pointing at the sky, what were you going to say about when I was thinking about?
Yeah, you can keep talking. We can hear you. We just can't see you.
Yeah.
There-
Okay.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Things are clearing up now. Let's.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're not. All right. Well,
Okay. Well, let's continue talking.
okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, we still got some time. Yeah, let's try to not take all night for this though. All right. So what do we want to do? What about I was just holding our HotA tokens, which quick plug, we'll be doing a giveaway at the end of the stream, so you guys stick around. We'll be giving away 10 of these, and if you win, you'll have to PM me your address, and we'll get them sent to you. I'll put them in the mail tomorrow. But you have to be a follower for that, and if you subscribe to the channel, you get double the luck in the giveaways. So if you guys haven't followed and you want to enter into that, make sure you drop a follow. But we do at the end. But it got me thinking about what about having a coin as a magic item where they flip it so it's not guaranteed to go off, and the player could actually use their actual HotA token
So,
to flip it for the outcome or something.
so
Maybe a coin of good luck.
ooh, a one's the apt.
What?
You're cutting in and out.
I'm cutting it out, bro.
Hey Spaz, if you can hear us, disconnect and come back in real quick. It's gonna kick all of our pictures on different squares, but it'll only be temporary.
I kind of like where you're going with this coin idea. I really do.
Yeah, because I mean that'd be fun if they get to do it. You know, actually get to use it on the stream, the actual
Like I
coin.
said, like a coin of luck or something. Like they get a luck point, but they have to flip the coin to see whether or not the luck works.
Like once a day.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it recharges their phone kind of thing.
Uh-oh.
But
Your
I
old
say
one.
it's on point with some of these things.
All right, we're close to our next 5-minute break. We got some technical difficulties with Spaz's screen, so we'll be back in 5 minutes. Hopefully we can get it hammered out by then. Stick around, we'll finish talking about items, and we'll be back. Thanks, guys.
Open my up, Kayla. You can have my coin.
All right, we are back. I think we got him reconnected. He's lagging a little bit.
And he's still Kyle.
Yeah, so I'm going to switch that real quick. So while we were talking on break, we kind of, I think, hammered out. Kyle, do you want to go ahead and explain what we came up with whilst I switch you guys on the screen?
Yeah, I think we got the basic gist of it. Trying to keep it simple, but you still have a little bit of a purpose to it with our HotA coins. Basically, it's pretty simple. We didn't hammer this part out yet, which we could do right now. Is it going to be? It's basically a luck coin. If you want to re-roll, it's an inspiration coin. Basically, it's a tally coin. But are we going to do that for attack rolls and stuff too, or just like an ability check kind of thing, or just all rolls in general?
I think it would just be.
Hammer that part out quick.
Yeah, I think it would be just on any roll.
Okay.
Really, anything that you normally could use an inspiration on.
Yeah, but it's not guaranteed. It's based,
Right.
like if it's heads, then you get it. If not, then you don't. Yeah.
Basically, divine inspiration.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that recharges on a dawn, so it's not a short rest, long rest thing. It's a
daily.
a
Yeah.
definite, a daily, once a day or kind of thing.
And it works with the coin because sometimes the gods can be fickle and they don't want to inspire you that day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I like it.
Cool. Right on. Well, if nothing else, that was worth doing this meeting just for that one item for the game. So that's cool.
Okay, bye everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. No.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. So let's shift into cursed, I guess.
Oh goodness.
Cursed items.
Bum, bum, bum.
Do you like them? Do you not? Are they beneficial or are they not? Should players use them? Should they not? What do you guys think about them? What's your favorites?
Every item should be a cursed item.
Every single item?
I was waiting for it. I knew Spaz was gonna come back in this moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I literally just had to reset my internet while I was dated just out. But yeah, that's being a pain. California is lovely at this time of day.
Yeah, everyone's home and gaming and social media. And...
It's a wonderful place except when it's on fire.
So cursed items. What kind of curses do you guys like to put on? Is it just inconveniences? Is it roleplay curses? Is it like where it gets worse over time? Is it where like I've seen cursed weapons where like you have to spill blood, like innocent blood, to maintain its evil power. That was kind of cool. And then somebody who wasn't evil got it, but then their personal alignment slowly started becoming evil over the course of the campaign because it was a really good buff and they really wanted it, so they would slowly start killing innocents for the thing, and it would change who they were. That was pretty cool. What's some stuff you guys have seen? Let's see, Fireside said, curse items
when it comes to most magic
good,
items,
really good for narrative if a DM has fun with an item. The best one depends on narrative unless you really plan for a curse shifting item. What were we saying? He's lagging out.
it's wonderful. Yay.
Say wonderful.
Wonderful. You're kind of in and out.
Lag.
So what do you guys think?
I'm in and out. I know.
Cursed items.
I'm trying to let Spaz say his.
Love cursed items.
He's kinda lagging
Kayla, tell us about them.
I just love them. I think they're kind of like Fireside said, like they're a great RP aspect. They definitely make things interesting because if you have a good cursed item, even after a player knows that it's cursed, they're going to be tempted to keep it because of the benefits they get as well. That's what I like. I like a item that even though you know this item, the more you use it, it's stealing your soul. You still want to keep using it because it's really cool and because you like it a lot.
Spaz experienced the cursed internet.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I love cursed items. I mean, I've had experience with 2 up to this point. One of them wasn't so bad. The mask of disguises I had that as soon as I attuned to it, the first time I transformed, I turned to purple.
Mm.
So all my shapes were purple, which can be bad if you're trying to be sneaky, because you're basically now just Beast Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you turn into is purple. At the same time, just become a tiefling. Now you're just a tiefling.
Could somebody press a digitate after? Could they do that to you after you transformed when you're purple to wear your regular colors?
Well, what the DM had was we went to a high-level cleric. They were able to remove the curse from it. Because, I mean, it's not like it was a really bad curse. It was just, it's more of a prank kind of curse. Like, yeah, you can turn into stuff, but you're purple.
I had a player who grew a tail when they opened up a treasure chest that was cursed. And they just now had a tail the rest of the campaign.
Yeah. But, I mean, the other one was, it was a Helm of Heroism, but it had a curse of spreading madness where as soon as the person put it on, they had to make a wisdom save. If they failed, they started to go mad. And then every morning, while they were mad, anyone that was, I don't think she ever told us the radius, anyone within a certain radius then had to make a save, or the curse spread to them and they became mad. And then anyone close to them, they had to make the save, or they became mad. So, I mean, but, with a Helm of Heroism, that's an item you want to keep, because a Helm of Heroism, that's a +1 to everything. So, I mean, you're getting a huge bonus. But at the same time, you're now driving. We ended up driving half of a city insane because we didn't realize this helm was cursed. It took us a long time to find out what was coming from.
And that's kind of half the fun of a cursed item too. Just to talk about it, this was a blanket statement. If you don't know that it is, then you're like every day or something, your DM says, "Oh, by the way, you take 5 psychic damage." You're like, "Wait, why? I don't understand. Why? Now tomorrow it's 10. What is happening?" You guys try. It's a mystery. You got to figure it out. Like with the helm there, they're starting to drive the town mad. Like that's.
We went 2 months.
What is happening?
We had that helmet for 2 months before we finally figured out it was the helm that was doing it. We thought that it was a person we saved from the Underdark, because he was insane when we saved him. We thought he was spreading the curse. And it turned out, no, our fighter walking around the town was fucking driving everyone mad because he was wearing the helmet.
Yep.
Was it Dylan that said for one of his games he slowly was turning one of his players into a fish or something?
Yeah.
Like they started growing, like they got webbed fingers, and then they kind of had gills, and then but then over. I think, is that what he said? It was a fish? I don't remember.
And it was something about at first they're kind of like, oh, well, this is actually kind of beneficial. Like, it's not doing anything. If I go in water, I can swim a little better. Cool. And then later on, it's like, I can't fucking breathe and I'm a fish. Like, yeah.
I think that happened to us, I thought.
Beneficial.
Yeah, it was something
I think that happened to me and Nick.
Somebody said it. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
I do know I talked about a magic item that did change someone into something pretty bad. Don't want to say anything just in case they're inside a chat, but yeah.
No, okay.
But yeah, there was something in the game. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah. In one of our games, me and one of the other players were like, we're just going to go to the dock and fish. We ended up rolling a natural 20 on the fishing check. So we caught this super rare fish. We're like, well, shit, no one's ever seen one of these. Let's eat it. It turned us into fish. We rolled a natural 20 on a save and ended up catching a cursed fish that turned us into fish. And the only way to remove the curse was we had to literally, because the curse lasted for about an hour and then we just became basically mer people, we had to tear it out of our throats in order to cure it. It was insane.
It was pretty funny, though.
We were like, are we just out of the campaign? Are we permanently fish people? We're like, what the hell are we supposed to do? And then the other guy's like, you know what? I'm going to tear this thing out of me. And sure enough, he tore it out and he turned back to normal.
Has anyone ever
something out as a fish?
has anyone ever experienced anything close to like that? Because I remember that you guys were pretty far into it where
We
there was
thought we were done. We were like, well, I guess we're making new characters now.
Has anyone ever done that where it's either killed a character, killed your character, you DM'd and it killed a character, it came close to killing a character, or is it just fucking with them the whole time?
I've killed
Just
a character with my cursed items.
There it is.
I've done it
There
a few
it is.
times.
I'm not afraid to kill a character, but it's got to be like a party that is okay with it. I mean, it's part of D&D.
Yeah.
There should always be that risk, but some players are like, no, like I'm okay with my character dying as long as it's for a good reason or they died trying to do something great. And then some people are like, if my character dies, I'm not going to play at this table anymore. You know what I mean? So
which is a shitty way to act.
It is shitty, but you know, like I don't think you should not have them die so they don't leave, but you know, that is something like some people are more okay with it than others. That's just something I want to say about that.
I will say my cursed items are usually long period cursed items. They don't affect you immediately. They're usually...
I hate long periods.
Yeah. I love long periods in game. Gives them time, and if they die from it, it's their own fault. You can't blame me. If you're turning into, say, a Kraken, you should be noticing changes. And if you're not doing anything to fix that, then you can't blame me, the DM.
If you don't notice the suction cups appearing on your arms, you're not paying attention.
Finley's gonna find a cursed item where he's gonna menstruate once a month.
He's gonna slowly turn into a woman. What would Finley's female name be? Finlet?
Why can't it be Finley? I don't know. Finley could work out.
Finley.
Like a double E.
Finley. I don't know. I feel like his name could definitely work out as in both genders.
Hey.
Sorry for the distraction.
No, you're good. You're good.
That'd be funny.
And Fireside's talking about a cursed item that was given away.
Oh.
My first DM gave a barbarian dragonborn an axe of berserker, which I believe slowly drives them insane via the deck of many things. Then the next card he pulled was melting of his possessions, and the disappointment was immeasurable. So it sounded like the DM wanted that axe to do a lot more work than it was able to.
I thought that card doesn't destroy magic items.
There's one that specifically only destroys magic items.
Yeah.
There's one that destroys magic items. I think it's Wrath that doesn't destroy magic items. And I forget what that
there's one that destroys everything but, and one that only destroys them.
Yeah.
You know what I found. I think I've only ever had myself a cursed item once in my very first game that I played with my very first character. It was one of those things where it wasn't a long game thing. It was one of those things where it just was constantly doing something to me the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those where you, being a barbarian, it just did damage to me, and like I was just okay, that's fine. Like the risk was worth the reward with that one. It was a kind of a pain in the balls to wake up every day and be like, oh no, but then you get over it, right? Just kind of along that same track of the only thing I can ever really remember giving a cursed item out was the Berserker Axe, where if I'm not mistaken, it's a different one, but the same terminology, where like it's a really good axe. It's not too OP. It does some really cool stuff for the wielder, but it was something where like once they get below half HP, they have to roll at the start of their turn to see who they attack, because they're slowly just more rage balls than anything at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was just one of those things where it wasn't anything crazy. It was still a little story, and it didn't actually affect them until this thing happened. So again, it wasn't one of the long-term curses. It was a trigger curse. Does anyone have a preference over those? Do you like I know Spaz says he likes the long game ones where it's more of a mystery and they have to figure it out.
So that's for the ones I kill.
There's even like ones with that one. He eventually figured it out, like by getting it identified of why when this happens do I do this? Well,
Identify doesn't find curses though. Identify specifically says it does not tell you if an item is cursed.
It was a shaman NPC that told him.
Got it. Because that's a mistake we've made. We're like, well, this isn't cursed because we identified it.
Right, with the helm thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're like, it can't be the helm. We identified it. It says there's no curses on it.
Right, exactly. The shaman of the tribe where the axe came from explained it to him. So it was one of those things where, since he asked, I told him. Had he not asked, I don't have to tell you shit. But anyway, it was just there's both of those. I love both of them. I helped kind of make that helm that drove everyone crazy. So like the personal little fun twist.
Thank you for that.
And actually, interestingly enough, I was talking with Joe about it before stream, but like one of the things I thought was gonna happen was like the very first start of this item was I thought more people would fight over this thing because it gave the +1s, and only really 2 people, like you said, even wanted it. So it kind of it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, here's this thing. Let's see what they do. And I was like, the first hurdle was jumped real easy. I was like, well, son of a bitch. But then it got better, so it was fine. It was fine then. At first, I was like, well, shit, we just gave him a +1 everything, and nothing's going to happen. That was dumb. But it eventually got a lot better, so it was good.
Well, that's what happens when you give that to a party with only 2 melee people.
Yeah.
Well, +1 to everything is still helpful. Like, I would take that as a wizard.
It's a helm,
Probably not
though.
be as useful.
Not many wizards wear helms.
The badass ones do.
I would if they
Not
gave
many of them.
to everything.
Yeah, not many of them were offered a helm that offered +1.
That's true. Well, no one in our party fought for it, and the only reason I didn't fight for it was because I got a broom out of it. I'll take the broom over the helm.
Right. Whew.
Let's see. An Orcish Great Axe. What?
Of rawr.
For an extra 1d6 of cunningly brutal slashing damage, but the wielder talks like a Cockney British.
Cockney British. Oi!
Oi!
Oi, mate!
Fuck it!
And you have to roll play.
Bastard.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to our top 5. So favorite planes. So there's lots to unpack in here, and some of us may have the same planes of existence. But before we go into that, Spaz, are you familiar with all the planes? Are you comfortable with giving a rundown of what they are?
I'm not familiar with all the planes.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, even for me.
Okay.
I do have a good number of my favorites out of them, but there's too many. I'll say that's
there's a lot
for me. Yeah.
We got material, beyond the material.
There's material. There's the Feywild. There's the Shadowfell. There's the 4 elemental planes. There's the positive plane, the negative plane.
Astral.
Abyss, 9 Hells, Limbo.
There's also demi-planes too.
Beastlands. Elysium. I forget the Clockwork plane, but that's one.
Mechanus?
Mechanus?
That might be the name of the god that lives there.
Yeah. There's a lot of planes.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
I'm trying to Google it. Yeah, there's a ton of them.
There's also the Astral Sea, but that's more other type of campaign systems.
I think it's a shorter list of what technically isn't considered a plane of existence.
Well,
the one in the back of the player's handbook? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the back of the handbook.
Yep, I'm looking at the image right now.
There's a lot of them.
So, what's your guys' favorite?
What's your favorite? Like,
yeah.
Are we going in order, or?
I'll go first. It's fine.
Sure.
I am particular to story, and not to say that all these planes don't have story, but I like the Abyss. I like the demons and the crazy shit that comes out of there. There's a lot of lore. I don't know if we have enough time for all of it, but there's things like, I watch these videos sometimes of just basic D&D lore and things of Farood and all this in the Abyss, and it's stuff like shards of evil that get tossed into the astral sea, and then the abyss gets formed, and then demons come out, and they fight devils and shit, and they're like, 8 heads and demigorgons and stuff, and I love all that stuff, man. Like, I'm more of a demon guy than a devil guy, I guess.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. I just something about the abyss. Again, there's so many stories that goes into it. It's just the abyss. I mean, it's like never ending. I mean, it's just layer after layer. And I know the 9 layers of hell.
Mhm.
The abyss is called like the infinite layers of the abyss because there's like so much.
Mhm.
So I think that's why I just like it so much. Like you can literally run a campaign just going into that bitch and just
Mhm.
with all the stuff that's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would go with that one.
Okay. I've never had players go into the abyss. I don't really have any
I mean,
stories
if I'm
to
not
share about it.
mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, I know of at least one module, and it's an older one. It might even be like a 3.5 one, where the story is like just to spitball it here, and I might be wrong. Chat could help me, whatever, or Google. It's something where like I want to say it's like a goddess, like Joaquin or Saloon or someone like gets taken there, and the whole campaign is just going in there to get free a goddess. Like, how cool is that, right? And it's super fucking scary because you have to go through all these things. I know Loth is down there in the spider pits, the spider demon pits. She has a whole layer to herself in the abyss. So I don't know. There's just a lot going on in there, and I think that's one that you could certainly just go one of those layers and make a whole campaign on it,
Mhm.
and then never get out. But that's my choice. Demons, man. Demons and crazy shit. Demigorgon. Orcus. Gosh, what else is down there? There's another one. I'm missing a third one. Baphomet, right? Yeah.
There's a
Baphomet.
lot down there. There's a ton of them.
Those are like the 3 big ones, though. Demigorgon,
Baphomet and
Baphomet, yeah. But, among other crazy shits. So
yeah.
there you go. That's my answer.
The worst level of the abyss, the DMV. That's a good one.
Yeah, you're definitely never getting out of
The whole
that.
campaign,
God.
just stick around.
I actually went to the DMV today. We were talking about this before the stream started. That's funny. Yeah, it was terrible.
Definitely the abyss.
It's just
Or would that be one of the 9 levels of hell?
It's the
Could
10th
be.
level.
Could be.
I'm kind of a basic bitch. I like the Feywild.
Mhm.
I'm just a huge fan of the Feywild because there's so much you could do there, and I love the fact that that's one of the few planes where it's like, oh no, there's rules to when you leave this place, you have no idea how long you've been here.
Mhm.
It's been 10 minutes in the Feywild, you've been gone 10 years.
Mhm.
You have no idea, which is even for a DM, that's a great way to progress the story.
Yep.
Because we
It's
had a
done.
point where we killed a Rakshasa, accidentally ended up in the Feywild, and we were there maybe 10 minutes, but it was been a year in the regular plane, which meant that Rakshasa was now back, and he was pissed. Because it takes him about a year to come back.
Mm.
So it was a quick way for her to be like, well, no, you guys are not done with this Rakshasa. He's coming back for vengeance. And I don't feel like taking a year's worth of playtime to do it.
Mhm.
That Rakshasa's back now because you were gone for 10 minutes.
Wow.
Which, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, it's great for a DM to just get things moving real quick.
Yeah, the Feywild's really cool. We actually have. I'm not going to do any spoilers because Kyle's here. We have some Feywild stuff that we changed for HotA, but it's going to be tied into the Elves' heritage. So, if you guys are into the Feywild, you will get to see our own spin on it. If Rin ever decides to divulge some of that stuff, but it's some pretty cool homebrew stuff for that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's a lot of lore with the Feywild.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's literally a plane just for the elves. They made it for themselves, just for them, and then they would. Lolth was a dick about it and decided, we want to be mortal, and which screwed up everything. That's one of the reasons why I love Mordekainen's book. Is all the information it's got about the elves and the Feywild just gives it so much more backstory. That's so fun.
Can't forget about Queen Mab in the Winter Court in the Feywild.
Yeah, that's another thing. You gotta love the courts of the Feywild and the fact that they don't give a shit about nothing. All they want is have fun and debauchery.
So are those okay? So when it comes to the Feywild, I will be the first to admit that I know a little bit about a little bit, not a lot about a lot. But it seems to me that a lot of, let's just call us, I don't know, nerds, know a lot about it. Is it like in a lot of books outside of D&D, or is it like specific D&D books but people just read? I'm not much of a book reader. Just gonna throw it out there. Like, this is probably the extent of reading.
It kind of is. The example I can think of in other books would be like Narnia. Narnia is basically the Feywild.
Okay, but
you
like
know, except for a genius allegorical lion, but you know,
people know
that's
that there's courts and stuff. Like when you said courts or queen something or other, I think Sean and Caleb both shook their head like, yeah, that's. So is it like a story that I just don't know about, or is it like something that you can? Because there are D&D books.
There's videos on YouTube as well.
Yeah, you can look up the courts of the Feywild, which the Winter Court's pretty interesting. But within doing that, you can also find a couple books. But my experience actually comes from the older editions, which they did go in more detail on those planes in older editions.
We could especially have,
especially 4th edition. That's the one good thing they did in that edition, was details.
We could actually make an RDI about the Fae if you guys wanted to.
Just do a whole RDI just about the Fae.
Yeah,
I would have to be a viewer on that one. I would be really intrigued. I mean, honestly, because I don't know bullshit about nothing about it. I know you go there, like Joe said, you go there, you come back, you know, your kids are in college and that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, and didn't even cover the fact that if you don't have Fae ancestry, you might not even know you were there. You just have a pocket of blank space in your brain now because your brain just couldn't handle the fact that you were there.
So
and you disappeared for 100 years.
So there's the ethereal plane, and inside of that, at the very center, is the material plane, and then the Fae and the Shadowfell, the Feywild and the Shadowfell are within that. So it's the closest thing to the world. It's going to be those two, and then you got to kind of cross through this space to get to the elemental planes, and then so it kind of like, and then there's another space that you have to go through. You know what I mean? So like, the Feywild is going to be much more similar and relatable to what the material stuff is like than the other ones. Does that make sense? So those two are pretty common. In an easy transition to have humanoids go to those and come back, then go to the abyss. Like, that's kind of like a celestial. You know what I mean? Like, how does one go into the abyss and return? You know, like it's kind of hard. It's doable. I mean, this is a magical fantasy world, but it's easy to transition to those two.
Yeah, you can stumble into the Feywild. You're not stumbling into the abyss.
Right.
Yeah.
If you stumble into the abyss, you took a wrong turn.
Besides the fire elemental plane, you can also get into the other planes pretty easily, unless you want to jump through a volcano and take your chances.
Well, I mean, and this is more for the Shadowfell, but if you've seen the show Stranger Things, the Upside Down is basically the Shadowfell. It's
pretty much.
The Shadowfell and the Feywild, they're planes that are basically layered on top of the normal material plane. They're just mirror images. Feywild is a much more wild version of the prime material plane, whereas the Shadowfell is a darker, more. I was going to say evil, but evil's not the right word.
Yeah, it's not evil.
It's not a lie.
You can consider the Feywild evil as well, though.
It's negative. I wouldn't say it's not evil. It's negative.
Yeah, it's a different energy. It's a different energy to it.
Yeah, Feywild's positive and Shadowfell's negative. It's not good and evil.
But they just layer on top of the prime material plane, and they're mirrors of it.
It's like ends of a magnet, like different. You know, like they react differently.
So let's continue on. My thing is, what are your guys' thoughts on people walking into planes and it slowly changing them? Because that's a couple things for the Feywild and both the Shadowfell. It happens to people.
would literally change that.
I haven't really experienced that, so I really don't know how to answer.
I came out a changed man.
Yeah, but there's I know especially in the Shadowfell, Mordecai and Stone of Foes definitely went into it more, but there's the Lost and the Lonely, I forget. I think the Loved. I forget what it's called, what they're all called.
The Sorrow Sworn.
The Sorrow Sworn, but that's pretty much what happens if you stay in that plane too long. You just lose yourself. I would expect the same from the Feywild. You might just turn a little bit Fey, or just go wild.
A little Fey.
I mean, and then you got the elves that are specific to the Feywild, the Eladrin, and you got the elves specific to the Shadowfell, the Shadow Kai, I think they're called.
Shadow Fey.
No, they actually have a name for them now. It's like Shadow Kai or some crap. They introduced it in Mordekainen's.
I thought they just kept them as Shadow Fae or Shadow Elves.
No, they gave them a special name now.
Kayla.
Mm-hmm.
What you're playing, girl?
Oh, there's so many good ones to choose from. I have never interacted with this particular plane, but I love the idea of the plane of chaos or limbo. Just elemental chaos. I don't know, it's just so exciting to me. Just there is literally no law or order. It's just like rocks melt into water, which explode into fire. It's really cool. It's just a bunch of craziness going on, and there's I don't know. I just really like it for some reason. I can't explain why exactly, but it is really cool. Planar travel and all the different planes that are available in D&D, I think are all incredible, and I think that they're not used enough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I know Spaz doesn't like my choice based on his face, but I don't
you
care.
took my choice. You took
Oh.
the problem.
Oh.
Who doesn't like the limbo? No
You
law.
got robbed.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Seeing a different side of Kayla, I never saw. She loves the deck of many things in limbo. She wants to pull deck of many things while she's in limbo.
She likes chaos.
Would nothing happen at that point? Would it just fizzle out?
Kayla.
Like the card's just a regular Queen of Hearts?
Do it.
That would be fun to just empty the deck of many things into the realm of chaos. That would be.
Let's go
What would
nuts.
happen? Would you roll 6 times to figure out exactly what would happen?
I don't know.
I don't know. Would that be Would that be puncturing a bag of holding while in the astral plane? Would nothing happen then?
I feel like
you can't get pulled into the astral plane if you're already there.
I feel like if you get a cheese cutter, and just went up against a piece of stone or a piece of wood, you just get a card for a deck of many things. That's how you make them. It's just wood from the plane of chaos from a cheese grater. That's how you get one.
Cut off a
Pure
slice
chaos.
of that.
Chaos Kayla. I like it.
Yeah.
Just random shit. That's
Chaos.
what I want to do.
Her gaming name now is Chaosla.
Chaosla.
Chaos Kayla.
I like it.
I bet she's one of those people who likes the wish spell too.
I do not actually like the wish spell. I don't like
Are you
it.
saying that to argue?
I think so. That's my guess. Wait. Yeah, I don't think she likes it.
I don't like it.
The wish spell's overrated as well.
Why don't you like the wish spell, Kayla?
I think that the wish spell can be cool when used correctly, but I feel like a lot of players are just take it as definition written. I wish for this, it happens, which is too OP and very world breaking and
not how it works.
And the fact that you get to do it more than once.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. You can lose it your first time casting the wish spell.
The way that it's written, if you use it not to cast another spell or one of the specific things it says, there's a 33% chance you can never use the spell ever again.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can wish for anything you want. That doesn't mean the DM has to grant it.
Yeah, the DM could make it like a genie wish. You wished for it, but it came from somewhere.
It burned that slot up, your wish is gone and it's
You wish
denied.
for you wish for 1,000,000 gold. You might get that 1,000,000 gold, but you just stole it from a kingdom, and now that kingdom wants you dead.
Yeah. How I introduce the wish spells, or at least how I use them, I'm more of the guy with equivalent in exchange, and I personally like sacrifices when using the wish spell to make it even.
Like alchemy.
Yeah. Like, oh, if you want that, like that exact wish cast, yeah, just sacrifice that city right there. All those people, I want all of them. You can have whatever you want.
Yeah, like balanced trade-offs. Like you want to spare a life, well then somebody has to die. You want
Otherwise, the Raven Queen's gonna be pissed.
What's that?
You don't want the Raven Queen after you.
Right, but I mean, it could open up some good RP, you know, and it has to be, you want the worst person in your view, you know, dead, well then the best one is gonna die. Or if they want to bring back the most important person, well then like their worst enemy gets brought back too, you know, like kind of balance it out, you know.
Does it always have to have a balance?
It doesn't have to, but he was saying that's how he liked to have it.
Yeah, I rule it with balance.
I've never dealt with a wish spell, DM or player otherwise. I know people talk about all the time where sometimes they like where it has a balance, or if it's just that extreme of a wish, it has to have something. But I mean, what if it's something either by the rules, or even if it's not in the rules, just something that's not terrible? Like if it's
you could literally, I wish for this waffle cone to always have ice cream in it. You know, I mean, you could something random, like if your character loves ice cream and you have a waffle cone, you know, like you can wish for anything you want, but it's up to the DM whether it's granted. You know.
When did the waffle cone become moldy after like a week or so?
Not if the wish is to keep it from ever molding.
But
then
you
need
wished for this. Yeah, you wished for it to always have ice cream.
Right. Well, that's a good point too. That actually,
DM logic.
We're going from planes to wishes, but since we're talking about it real quick, I mean, when it comes to the wish spell, that's another thing too. Some DMs, like, not only do they, I'll say, punish on the wish, whatever, but not only in what is reciprocated, but also in the verbiage. Like, oh, you did say the waffle stays good forever, so now it's fucked. Like, I mean, some people are.
Yeah.
And some people also, since you're going to be that way about it, they also write a 7-page essay about what their wish is, and it's all one sentence. I've seen that in like D&D cast before, where the guy like literally posted the 7-page. I'm like 2 fucking paragraphs in. I'm like, I'm done. Like it's all one sentence.
It's all one sentence. Then it can't be a paragraph. It's impossible.
It's 7 pages of one sentence.
You know, the wish spell.
You can have a paragraph made of one sentence.
The wish spell. Oh.
Does the wish spell care about grammar and punctuation?
Yes. In my game, if that ever happened, my game is the wish spell only wants it 6 words or less.
Oh God.
You better figure out the best
criteria on my wishes. So yeah, I mean, it's a good topic.
I mean, wish for more wishes, please. There you go.
how do you deviate that? You know, is it always a give and take? Is it, if it's a decent enough wish, does it not reciprocate? Does it have to be so specific if you get the general gist of it? I don't know. That's a whole, that's a DM thing. But anyway.
And the thing is, the spell does have rules for how to handle stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just when it's out of the ordinary is when shit gets cuckoo.
Because one of the examples it even says is wishing that a villain were dead might propel you forward in time to a period where that villain is no longer alive. So I mean, it's up to the DM how to interpret your wish too.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And then that player is in the next campaign already. As he just disappears and he has to make a new character, but in the next campaign he shows up and guy's dead.
How did we get onto wishes? I don't even remember.
We were talking about the plane of limbo.
That's
chaos. What happened. You can't talk about the plane of limbo, or this happens
all the time. You're talking about Chaos and her wishes over there. I'm just calling Kayla Chaos from now on. That's
in fact, yeah, so much. She's probably someone.
That's fine. I got this.
Who didn't do their thing yet? Who didn't? Was it
only
Baz and Sean haven't gone.
Okay, all right. Do it up, guys.
I'm more generalizing mine towards D&D in general instead of 5th edition now, since Limbo was taken. But mine would be favorite in all of D&D is the Astral Sea.
Hmm.
It is a terrifying
Space
place, and space pirates.
Yep, Githyanki Space Pirates.
Sold. That's it.
Space Pirates
Aberrations.
are great.
Space pirates.
HotA 4. Space Pirates.
Yeah, space pirates and fantasy D&D.
Mhm.
And also
Just-
all the aberrations in the world, because that's where
Yeah.
Aboleths, Yanti? No, not Yanti. I forget their name.
Is there Klingons?
It's Sarai, Githyanki.
Githyanki, that's what I'm thinking of.
Or
and
Illithid.
Space Pirates.
Illithids, beholders,
Mhm.
all aberrations come from there.
What about
It's amazing.
Vulcans?
Apoloths.
The astral dragon, which is a terrifying thought.
What about Ferengi?
Wait,
No?
what's a Ferengi?
Oh, they're from Star Trek. I was just naming Star
Oh.
Trek. Yeah. Space Pirates.
Space pirates.
Ferengi,
That's
the
all
ones
I
with the
need
big
to tell
ass
Sean.
ears that love them getting rubbed and they love
Yeah,
gold.
Just do an entire campaign of Githyanki and Githzerai. These Space Pirates.
It gets old. Trust
What's
me.
really cool is that you definitely could make a whole campaign based on a plane. I mean,
There's an entire series made of that in D&D.
Yeah. I mean, I know just like in just because it's the only show other than HotA that I watch because I participate. But in Critical Role, they went to different planes for a little bit and then came back. But I think, there's definitely enough in a plane.
To have your campaign.
That one, yeah, and just have that whole thing going there. Start the characters off. Here's the thing, and then go. It could be really cool. Really
Mhm.
cool.
HotA 5, stuck in another world.
Stuck on a plane.
With snakes.
No, I was right. The plane of order is called Mechanus.
Okay.
Not a boy, Joe.
And Sean, what is your favorite plane of existence?
I'll default to the one where I can plug upcoming things for the channel. HotA 2 is going to be having heavy influences from the elemental planes. So the Empyreans are going to be kind of like a demigod status, and they were given the authority by the gods to help create the world of HotA 2. And something ends up happening, so there's not too many spoilers, and there's also a lore video on the website and our YouTube if you guys want to check it out, where there's the elemental planes, the air, water, fire, and earth. The doors to those planes are opened and things come through onto the material plane, and it starts causing a lot of chaos and a lot of problems. And with that, the players are going to have to deal with the normal campaign-y stuff going, but then also the pouring in of the 4 elemental planes. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and with HotA 2, we're also from the ground up building our own game system. It's not going to be 5th edition, it's going to be HotA edition. So there's going to be all new races and classes. I don't know about races. We'll probably have some homebrew races as well, but the classes are going to be completely different. They're going to be based off going through a tech tree. So as you gain experience points, you'll be able to go to your guild and go through the tech tree, and so you'll be able to multi-class in some really interesting ways. But yeah, so that's going to be really fun. No clue when that's going to be finally ready. Maybe
crazy.
six months from now, maybe 9 months. I don't know. Maybe a year. Who knows? Who knows? Well, we built HotA in. By the time we're done, it'll be about 10 months.
We had a system in place. We had a foundation.
It
This
took us
is
about 10
completely
months.
from scratch.
And
Look
this
at that
one-
face.
But
Look
this
at that
one,
face.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know when it's gonna be there. Yeah, tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow, guys.
God.
No, but that one's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, it taps into the 4 elemental planes, so that's what I'm gonna say is my favorite. Because I get to plug my the future of my channel. So.
That's right. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun too.
6 months.
So
Caleb
bad.
had
I
exploded.
don't know. Who knows? but so another plug. We are also looking for more content developers, world developers. So if anybody is interested in joining our dev team, we are taking applications for interns. So you can go to our website, www.hotarpg.com, and on there it'll tell you how to apply. So we are interviewing interns currently. I think we've picked up maybe 1 or 2 to join the dev team. And it's going to be working on HotA 2, the one I was just talking about. So it's going to be a lot of fun if you guys like doing that. So we're a little bit early, but we're going to go on our last 5-minute break. And when we come back, we will open it up to Q&A for anybody in the chat. You guys can ask us anything you want, personal, business, D&D, anything like that. We'll try to get to all of them. And then at the end of that segment, we will do a couple giveaways. So we'll start off with one for HotA points, and then we'll get into the HotA tokens. We'll be sending one person 10 HotA tokens. So stick around. You don't want to miss that. We will be back in 5 minutes. Thanks for watching and being here with us, guys. All right, we are back. Thanks for sticking with us, who's ever here still. Let's actually get a quick check in the chat. Is there anybody still hanging out with us? Because we're going to be opening up for questions, and then we were going to do giveaways, but if there's only one person, we could just gift points.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, we got Clicks Craig. Fireside, are you still with us?
This Clicks Craig crown.
Oh, there we go. So we do got two. Okay. So we'll do some questions for a little bit. If there's anything you two have for any of us, we would love to answer. Or is there anything you guys want us to know about you guys? We'd love to get to know you. Could be anything you want.
Anything you want, personal or D&D.
While we're waiting for questions, I'll go ahead and pitch out PvP.
Yeah, do it, my dude.
So far, so good in terms of, I believe we have 3 people out of 8, so it's coming along slowly but surely, but that's cool. We want to get the right people in there to make for a really good episode of that. So far, so good on the dates, it looks like, with November 14th, I believe, is the date that we had originally scheduled for. All the rules are on HotARPG.com. When you click on PvP, you can go to the application, fill all that out, get it over to our world famous DM SteelX so he can review and give you the thumbs up to get in. All the rules are on there, but of course there's more that we can certainly go over in terms of character creation, which was already on last time, episode 1. So feel free to check that out. First one's free. And if we like what we're seeing, we want to do another one. We talked about, possibly doing some buy-ins to get some really cool prizes. We're trying to look for some really cool builds. So if you ever had that character that you don't know how exactly it fleshes out, don't know if you want to play a whole campaign on it, or that one shot that you didn't do that character in, or I just want to see what this does. It's a really good place to do it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Myself and DM Sean are going to be the commentators for that, so it's going to be a lot of fun too. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a good time.
Okay. We have a question from Click. I was trying to understand what it said. So if there was a planet...
Plane explored?
Plane explored?
Plane explored on HotA, where would travel to?
I think if each one got to choose where they could go, where would they go?
I was just about to type. I think Melissa's nails are drying, so she was trying to type it. That's why it came out like. Yeah, so I think it was If there was a plane explored on HotA, what would they travel to? What would the plane travel to?
Oh, like a plane, like what we're talking about. Oh, okay.
Can I say something? I have one in mind that won't give up too much problems.
Okay.
But it's a brief visit. They will travel and explore Fireplane a bit. That's about it.
You ruined everything. Why'd you tell us?
Ruined everything.
Now we don't know.
But that's the only one I would expect for a plane that I know of. But yeah.
The only thing I'll say is that there is something, not the material plane, that will be in the game, but you don't get to know what it is until the players do as they experience it. But yes, there will be a little bit of something in there which should be a lot of fun. It's kind of something we kind of homebrewed up ourselves, but it should be pretty good.
Sweet.
There was Fire's question about HotA and hearing about there's much more, but yeah.
So I just got here. Oh, go ahead.
I just got here. I'm more curious how many HotA campaigns have happened since I've heard about a HotA 2 with is there quotations? It doesn't look like quotations. How late am I to this show? You're not very late. HotA 2 is just something that we've been working on, and we had in its basic setup since we're getting close to finishing HotA 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so HotA is about to officially hard launch here in somewhere between... Yeah, what's that?
I just said soon.
Soon, yeah. So we've been streaming the Session 0 stuff with the 4 players. And then we have lost a player, so we're trying to pick up another player, and then once all that stuff gets ready to go, then we're going to hard launch. And so those guys will be going through playing the game, and it's going to be an open world game where they can pretty much go anywhere they want within reason. And so that's why it's taken us so long to make the game, is because we were making the entire game before they begin.
Who'd you guys lose?
And then our dev team, who has been working on building this world, we already kind of started conceptually what HotA 2 is going to be. And so they're going to transfer from building HotA to start on HotA 2. And then when that's ready to go, then that one will be up and running, and we'll continue to be doing HotA. And when HotA 2 is getting close, then we're going to start conceptualizing what HotA 3 will be. So we'll just keep doing that. And as we go, we're going to try to pick up some other DMs to be running the same campaigns on the stream, with different players going through. So yeah. So
who'd you guys lose?
What's that?
Who'd you guys lose?
Ryan.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep. So the show must go on though. So we are looking for a 4th player. So if anybody's watching and they would like to apply, check out our website, hotarpg.com, and follow the instructions and submit an application. We'll get you interviewed and see how you do.
See, it sucks that I work Tuesdays.
Yeah. Too bad, man.
I'd love to be able to actually play with Kyle again.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot worse than it actually was.
I knew what you meant.
Is William going to be an NPC? Excited Dance Cleavage helps, y'all.
It would be fun, Joe. It would be fun.
I don't have any cleavage. Hold on.
I think all the devs are actually going to be certain
Is that better?
inside the campaign, especially.
What was that? What'd you say?
Me?
All the devs are what?
Oh, I know at least all the devs are going to play at least a couple NPCs inside this campaign, but I definitely know in the first couple sessions, I think everyone will make their little, I guess, they'll show up. I don't know a good word.
Yeah, we'll figure out when and where. The focus will be on the 4 players, but we will occasionally have guest players, yep.
Mostly interesting NPCs that we've already planned out.
Also curious, why the talk show? Because
why not?
It enables you to ask. Why the talk show? It makes it so we can ask you guys things, and you guys can ask us things. Also, just putting out more content. So the amount of work and production stuff that goes in behind the scenes that you guys are unaware of, it's immense. And we do have a dev team that is helping with everything, but all the production side stuff is all on my plate. So I was wanting a way to have additional content that doesn't take a campaign's worth of prep. So that's why talk show is really good, because all I got to do is plan what are we going to talk about, arrange the people to show up at a certain time, and then we just talk. So it's all this is unscripted. It was literally just what we're going to talk about is the only thing planned. So it makes it really easy for me and for all these guys. And we're going to be using the talk show to also expand our network with other streaming DMs and other campaigns. So that's why we're trying to get as many episodes out. That's why we're going to be doing Tuesdays and Wednesdays until the campaign for HotA hard launches. So we can have more opportunities to invite other streamers onto our channel. And hopefully they will promote our channel to their viewers and come like, if they can get them all to raid over, that would be great. And then while they're on ours, they can plug their own channel. So that way we can just start building a community where everybody's kind of sharing the love for viewers and trying to grow in case anybody needs help for anything. So yeah, and plus it's so fun to talk about D&D. We
Hell yeah.
all talk about it all the time in between streaming and stuff anyway. We're like, you know what, why don't we just stream us talking about it and just have a little bit more structured than our bullshit talking, you know, like at least this is a little more structured. Not very, but
yeah, I was talking to my D&D group before I came in here.
Yeah. So yeah, might as well. Yeah,
it still leads to fun conversations. You know, we talked about the coin thing. We got that done today. You know, and you know, it does. It's nice to see different people's perspective on things. You know, I will never claim that I'm perfect or right on anything.
Or anything.
Or anything at all. But I mean, you know, it certainly helps with like playing. It certainly helps with like DMing my games, and just, you know, like you said, we're already talking about it anyway. You know, why not? You know, slap the headphones on and, you know, let's talk about it together and play with everyone. So no, that's a cool question. And just to kind of go along with Fireside, you know, definitely enjoy you being here and joining in and following. Definitely, if you want to get caught up on some story stuff, you can. All of our session 0 is all on YouTube. It's if I'm not mistaken, you can see that too, because I have, and it's HotA RPG. Just look it up and just start from 1, man, and just
it's separated into like 30-minute videos. So I mean, you don't even have to watch the full thing in one sitting. You can watch 2 videos if you only got like an hour to watch. That's usually what I do. Is I'll stick it on and I'll basically just listen to it while I'm doing something else. And
all of those episodes are edited for the breaks. All that stuff's cut out if we have technical difficulties, which sometimes happen with live stream. Try to cut as much of that out as possible. But there's a couple parts where it's there because of the stuff we talked about while we're having the problems. It was good enough to keep, so we did. But then there's music added to it and stuff. So it's actually a more efficient way of watching, but we love doing the live stuff because at the end we can actually get to talk to everybody. Because we're here for each other, but we're also here for you guys too. We're here to entertain you guys, but we also want to get to know what you guys do and what you want to talk about or hear from us. Even more important, why a red dragon inn? Brass dragons are the most chatty.
Red Dragon Inn is actually a place in
Candoria.
Waterdeep, I think. It's an actual place in the Waterdeep.
I haven't even been in Waterdeep.
They actually have a place called the Red Dragon Inn. I thought that's where you got the name from.
No, I got it from the board game. The board game Red Dragon Inn. It's my favorite. It's my favorite board game, so that's why I named it.
That's an actual inn in Waterdeep.
Yeah. And a serious question to go with it. What got you guys all into streaming and recording your adventures and games?
I don't. This is my first time ever on the stream.
Yeah, I think
I'm just a guest.
All these guys I scooped up from Roll20, just saying, hey, I want to do this. Are you guys interested? And they joined, and it's been fun. I used to play a lot of Neverwinter. And there was a guy who was like the #1 streaming cleric on Twitch for it. I used to help him with his videos. So I was never like on it, but I was always running with him and helping him with his channel. And he's huge now. His name's Callie Gold. He's really fun to watch. But anyway, so that's what first got me interested, and I kind of wanted to do that, but it wasn't for video games for sure. So I ended up applying to another game that was posted on Roll20 that was going to be streamed, and I interviewed for it, and I thought I did amazing. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to get picked. And then I wasn't picked, and I was like, well, fuck this guy, I'm going to do it myself. And then it just kind of like figuring out, because you don't know what you don't know, and so I just started like, well, if I was to do this, what would it entail? And watched a lot of videos and stuff about it, and eventually figured out it is a lot of work, so got a team of people to come help me with it. And then once that got ready, then we started looking for players. We did huge application process. I mean, how much time do you think it took, Kyle? for
I know.
for you guys
but in
playing.
a good way. But in a good way. The gauntlet was set, and the victorious emerged supreme, and here we are. I mean, it was, but in a good way. It wasn't like actual bloodshed, but if it came down to it, I would have.
It was close to bloodshed.
Close.
It was close.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I mean, everything that's been done. I'll say it all the time. Everything that's been done between Sean and the devs and everything, HotA, in my opinion, is on top of it, and always moving forward, man. We're always moving on to the next thing, and really looking forward to growing with the community that we have, and the community that's yet to be. So, I mean, yeah, but gosh, yeah, it was a process, but for a specific reason and a good reason, and I liked it.
I'm curious what your guys' future aspirations are. You know, like, do you guys want to have your own channel, or do you want to? What do you guys want to do now that you've kind of been involved in a stream? Because I'm hoping all of you guys are able to use this to get experience and do whatever it is you want to do. Yeah, all of you guys, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wait for, I wouldn't say next week, but when we do the devs meetup for RDI, we'll definitely go more in depth on that. So I'll wait for that.
Okay.
Now I'm super curious
I
what
am
Spouse
too.
is wanting to do.
Yeah, Spaz, what the hell, man?
You haven't mentioned anything ever about.
He's
What are
leaving
you
it.
up
He's taking the
to?
name with him.
What are you up to?
Yeah. Spaz, what are you up to? I guess we'll find out next week. I'm definitely showing up now. I was gonna not show up, man.
That would have been
Stealing the end.
Yeah, what about?
I mean, my own answer to this question is to do something HotA related. I mean, the next step for me is, I mean, right now is Finley 110%, you know, but you know, being involved with RDI and being involved with the PvP coming up, you know, I just like I like being able to be a part of anything that has a HotA symbol attached to it, and I think moving forward, you know, Sean and I have talked about some things that maybe I could do in terms of maybe, I don't know, DMing, I don't know, but it could be fun. God. You will be the first to die. You're not even a player, and you will die.
Yeah, I'm not even
You're
going to make me an NPC, and you're going to make them murder me.
Joseph,
you have to kill this NPC. Well, what did you do? Nothing. I just don't like him. Kill him.
Nothing, just because. But I don't know. I think that might be something in the future for KB with the HotA brand. So I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, I'm in it to win it with this group. So
cool.
Wherever we're going, I'm going with it.
Glad we found you.
Kayla.
I'm glad to be here, man. You guys.
Kayla, any aspirations?
I'm much more of a behind-the-scenes kind of person.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't think I'll ever stream or anything like that. I'll just get to be behind the scenes and know all the answers and help plot and just talk D&D and have fun. And that's pretty much it.
Well.
She likes to be the woman behind the curtain.
Exactly.
One who pulls all the strings.
Joe.
very terrifying.
This is the
no aspirations to be a streamer. No.
This is your first time being on any stream, right?
Yep, this is my first time ever being on a stream. Had no plans on ever being on a stream until you guys said, "Hey, we're doing a talk show. What? Anyone who wants to come on?" The only reason I'm doing it is for Kyle because I kind of like him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And he asked nicely.
Generally,
when someone asks me nicely, I'll do something.
Yeah, and if we had a lot of fun with you, if you ever want to come back, we have some slots open up and stuff. So we'd love to have you back if it's something that interests you.
I'd be fine coming back. I like talking.
Cool.
I forgot he had that.
Okay.
That was the first one. That was the first one, and I had it up multiple times.
I have no aspirations to like do anything with this. It's just a fun little thing to do while I wait for my games during the weekends, since I play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a nice place to vent, talk about how crappy all my DMs are, even though I have the same DM in like 2 of them.
Yeah, as far as the brand, we're gonna take it as far as we can. We're trying to get as many DMs in on the channels to put out more different kind of content. Some will be module, some will be homebrew. I'm gonna try to have more things coming too. We have the talk show, we have PvP tournaments. What else? Yeah, and then more to come. We're gonna be constantly brainstorming and I want to get things going and then pass it off to somebody else to keep going with it, and then I work on the next thing, so I mean, I would love to have our channel be a 24/7 channel where there's always something on there, kind of like say Geek and Sundry, like where they have a bunch of different people. That would be amazing. Who knows if we ever get there, but you gotta you gotta try if that's what you want to do.
Guest players in the main campaign.
In the main campaign, all the guests are going to be my devs, but we can take guest people in on here for talking, and then we can take guest people in for PvP. With both of those, you don't have to like commit to a long-term thing, and you don't have to have as much experience for acting or playing D&D. Like you can do this or that with a lower expectation of what what you can bring. So the amount of air quotes on guess, I'm able to just sacrifice.
I don't think you guys have killed any of them. You've tried, but
I guess we'll have to wait to see if they ever come back. If not, they may be in my backyard.
I was gonna say, I thought Kayla's character survived.
I don't know.
I don't like that laugh.
Fucking tell me.
I like that.
Such bullshit. Driving me nuts. Finley's back in here, like, tell her to fucking tell you. And I'm like, I don't know. She won't tell me. And
I guess stay tuned.
Okay.
Find out.
I guess Kayla might never know what that song is.
Nope.
And I guess Fireside is going to have to watch if he wants to find out what the hell we're all talking about.
There is that too.
All right. We'll take one more question, and then we will go to the giveaways.
Come on, any questions?
Let me get a question.
Nothing too personal.
Allowed.
Actually, there's a lot of things that are too personal, but
Yeah, touche.
Give us a hard question.
One more question. If we don't get a question, a good one, we won't do a giveaway. How about that?
How about that?
ooh, now there's some
No,
stakes.
Kill me.
Ooh, steak sounds so good right now.
Oh my god,
I
doesn't
actually
it?
had steaks for dinner.
In case anyone cares, I made homemade chicken nuggets. That's what I did, and they were a ballin'. I call them crack.
Homemade chicken nuggets.
Yeah, they're way better than Chick-fil-A, in my opinion.
What? You grind up the chicken yourself? You make them into little nuggets and then you fry them up?
Well, you just cook. Well, I don't grind them. You just cook them. I mean, you cut
Then
them.
they're not homemade, are they?
Still
You gotta
waiting.
grind them up if they're homemade.
Why the hell would you grind? What? Who hurt
That's
you,
not
Joe?
a nugget.
Grind up a chicken. You just cut the chicken into a piece, and then a whole bunch of pieces.
That's a chicken strip, not a nugget.
Chickens
We will
don't have
continue
nuggets.
conversation
I think
after
it's
stream, sir.
It doesn't have to be ground chicken meat to be a nugget.
That's a nugget.
I think
Anything
it's-
that's not ground
the
isn't a
nuggets
nugget.
come
That's a
from the
chicken.
roosters, not the chickens.
That's a processed thing. Ugh.
That is
I will
disgusting.
make you some homemade chicken nuggets, Joe. I will send them out your way, just because.
Or you can always make those next year when we go to Gen Con.
That's true too. I could.
All right, any questions?
Anyone, ask a question.
What's your favorite food? All of you.
Oh, what a
Chicken
Oh, there we
nuggets.
go. Vampire.
Oh,
Just got revivified.
What do you hope to actually? What do you hope to actually give in what you do for the channel than just a 24 hours? Do you have any plans for multiple running campaigns than just PvP? Yeah, we know what we're working towards for right now. We kind of have an idea of what we're going to be working towards down the road, but a lot of that's just conceptual because we have so many things that are in like proof of concept phase right now. Like RDA, we've done 2 of them now, and we have the next 10 of them planned, but it's still very much in flux of what it's actually going to become. Same with the PvP. We have a plan for that. People are going to pay to play and stuff like that, and there's going to be prizes, but it's still in proof of concept. So instead of getting too many things planned out, it's more of a get a couple and work them out to where they're right. They're working the way we want them to before we move on to another one. Just kind of like with HotA 2, we kind of know what we're going to do with that, but we need to finish HotA before we do that. So we got it going and then we stopped it so there's somewhere to start. So yeah, I have some ideas, but I'm not ready to go over them yet because we still have a long ways to go, and we still got a ways to go even for the stuff we are currently working on. So just hopefully stick around and you'll get to see it, and if you're interested, you can apply to be a part of it as well.
I'm excited. I really am.
Yeah, framework. Yep.
You just see all these things on the horizon. It's like
so close. Yeah, it's like just out of touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But it will be coming around here very soon. All right, so let's open up the giveaways. Let's see here. So we change it up now. Now it's 500 HotA points per ticket. So all the mini games and stuff that you guys can play, that's what you're saving those points up for, is to buy the tickets. So I'm going to open the giveaway. You'll do ! raffle, and was it then a space, and then you say how many tickets you want to purchase, and they're 500 points per ticket, and you can do a maximum of 10. So let's do... Yeah, so if you do ! HotA points, the bot will come back and tell you how many points you have.
Jesus Christ, Spaz.
It's not a lot. I had more.
Let me see what I'm at. I didn't cheat with these. I started with 1,000 just like all the other players. 35,000.
Sure.
Wow.
I say he has higher luck than everybody else, considering he never gets
Kyle's at 40,000. He's got more than I do. Okay, so for the giveaway, you do have to be a follower, otherwise you cannot enter. And if you are a subscriber, you get double the luck, and then there's also some other perks for being a subscriber. But all right, so let's get this open, and we'll give away 10 HotA tokens. So if you win, make sure you send me a PM in Twitch. Don't put it in the chat with your mailing address, so I can actually get them to you.
Yeah, don't tell the world. Or all 3 people in the chat.
All right, I'm going to open giveaway. It's 500 HotA points per ticket. ! Raffle space, and then however many tickets you want to buy. We got Clicks Craig is in for 4 tickets.
Yay!
Fireside's in for 1.
Yay!
And I think that's all we got here. Usually we have more people, but
unless I join in too, but I don't want to.
Okay. Yep, 500. Yeah, per ticket it's 500. Yep. So like during the stream, you can do heists, you can do free for alls, you can challenge people, you can do boss fights, and all these are going to like be ways to accrue more points, and then you also get them just by watching. So let's close the giveaway. And so
let's see who gets it out of the two.
Craig, I'm guessing is gonna win because she's got 4.
Nope. Always got to go with the underdog.
Underdog. All right, Fireside. Let's see it.
Doesn't Clicks have one already?
No, she got points with her. Hey!
Clicks Craig won. Okay, cool.
Yay!
Congratulations! So, most of you PM me your mailing address. It could either be here on Twitch, or I do have you on Skype, so you could send it on there too. It doesn't matter to me. and we will get those sent off hopefully tomorrow, so you should get them in a few days. We want to thank everybody for sticking with us and watching and contributing to our community. And next Tuesday, we're going to be playing the last game for the session 0. And then Wednesdays, we will keep doing the Red Dragon Inn. So we will see you guys in about 6 days. Thanks for being with us. Does anybody want to say any parting words?
I just want to thank Joe, my buddy Joe, for coming on and hanging out with us. I think you did awesome, man, and really good conversations and insight, and kept the hype train running as we were going. So I miss you too, bud. I wish we could play more, man, but this was awesome getting to hang out with you and talk some good old D&D.
Good seeing you too.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Not anything that hasn't already been said, so.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.
I promise to leave them breathing.